and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth the New Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
I'm your bloody nail file, Mike.
And last but not least, it's Colton.
And we are back, and yet again, Jill-less. So you know what that means, guys. It means another back-to-back episode of The Boys. The Boys.
Because, again, we don't have what?
Vagina. There you
go.
I don't know if that audio drop ever makes it in, but
it made it in the last time.
It didn't make it in last time. I made sure to secure it, so it was there.
Wow.
My friend and I were kind of drunk because we had been having a wine and movie night, and I get a text from Ro at 1:30 in the morning saying, "Do you have that cupcake vagina sound on MP3?" And I was like, "Let me send it to you immediately."
Wow.
That's right. Just
the depths at which Rowan will go to just do great audio editing on the podcast.
Listen, you know what? It was good.
An episode.
Just so the listener knows, that's the first time it has ever appeared in an episode, but we have that as a sound drop in our Discord that we record the episodes on, and we're constantly spamming it.
Yeah, Mike and Jill oftentimes drop it right when I'm in the middle of a thought to try and get me to laugh or something. So over the years, any awkward pauses or, weird edits, it's probably due to that. It's definitely not due to just my own thoughts and being all jumbled.
But also that.
Yeah.
I just can't wait. Whenever the time comes that Colton decides to leave the podcast, he's going to give his farewell speech, and they're just going to spam it with vagina the entire time just to ruin the moment, everything for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll have to record it after the episode. I'll just have to leave, do a pickup, or just tearfully say my goodbyes,
But yes, Jill will be back. She promised me next episode. Of course she's going to be back. It's her pick, so, coincidentally.
This is just revenge for me skipping Ginger Snaps 3.
It's like a long revenge.
She's not going to come back for a Colton episode, especially when it's Blair Witch 2. It's not happening.
True. Well, you know what? We're going to start off with what we've been consuming, what we've been watching, what we've been reading, what we've been listening to, all of that good stuff. Colton, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I've been watching a little bit over the past couple of weeks. We're about to record an episode on Hokum, of course. I think all three of us managed to see that one in theaters, so if you want to hear our thoughts on that, you can listen to the full episode there. One movie that we promised to cover for our listeners was Mother Mary. I saw that in theaters. I thought it was a horror movie. I don't know why. I think it was the trailer seemed to kind of give me the suggestion that it was a horror movie by David
I think
Lowery.
There was a tagline saying this is not a horror movie, which made you think that it was a horror movie.
It says this is not a ghost story, but that's a play on his other movie, A Ghost Story. Was kind of how I took it. And then it says this is a prayer or this is a miracle or something like that. And there's some, there are some vague horror elements in it, but by and large, I went and saw the movie and I kind of messaged Rowan right away and I said, listen, it's not worth driving 2 hours to go see this. There's horror elements, but it's much more of just kind of the mental unraveling of a pop star played by Anne Hathaway, and she's kind of on the verge of launching a new album or, revitalizing her career, kind of reinventing herself, her character of Mother Mary, and she's returning to a costume designer that basically designed her iconic look years ago, and they had a falling out, and it's essentially exploring what caused that falling out. Was it some weird unrequited love between them? Was it, animosity? Was it a rift? Was it a possession or a witch or demons involved? And it kind of points to all these different elements, and it doesn't really ever give you a clear answer exactly what it was, or at least the answers are a lot more surreal or metaphorical. So it was one of those movies where I think Rowan and I could have discussed it. I think we just wouldn't have really done it service. It felt more like a movie that Mike would probably really like, just for like some of its surreal elements and stuff. It was, I don't want to say that Rowan and I covering a movie like that were too stupid to do it, but it was just kind of to immediately watch a movie like that, walk out of the theater, and then record an episode on it like 2 hours later before anyone had seen it or before any sort of like critical theories or like kind of research has been done on to any degree. I feel like I just would have came on the air and been like, yeah, it's kind of pretentious, and I think that would just be doing a disservice to the movie. So it was fine. It wasn't right for the show, I don't think. So that's on me. Mother Mary wasn't a horror movie. But in theaters, I didn't really see anything else. But at home, we've been doing these weekly Discord bad movie nights, and you know, there's a lot that I've watched. You can check it out on Letterboxd of just the weird movies we've been checking out. But there was one that I just felt like I had to discuss on the podcast called Roar. I don't know if either of you guys are familiar with this, but the tagline for the movie is, "No animals were harmed in the making of this movie. 70 members of the cast and crew were."
Yeah, is this like the notorious one?
Yes.
Yes. I've never
directed
seen
by
it,
Noel,
but...
Yeah, directed by Noel Marshall, filmed in the 80s. And essentially it's Tippi Hedren, the actress from The Birds,
Queen.
is what I know her from. Basically, her and Noel Marshall were a couple, and they had this fascination with big cats. And just over the course of like 10 years, they grew this huge, I guess, collection, I don't know, of 150 plus big cats just outside of California, and wound up building this whole pavilion, kind of like a mansion or resort out just, I think, like 40 kilometers outside of Los Angeles, like a 40-minute drive. And basically, they just made this movie called Roar that had their whole family starring in it, and just every single scene is just lions and tigers and jaguars and cheetahs and shit roaming around. There's no training. There's people getting like bitten or scratched or leapt on like all the time through the movie. I was incredibly anxious the entire time watching this movie. It was hilarious because it's just like chaos all the time. But as someone who's worked in film, I was just like, how on earth did they ever make this? And as I was watching it, I thought it was made in Africa because the movie is set in Africa, but only through watching like some behind the scenes and stuff, I was like, this was in California. And not only that, they went through 300 crew over the course of the movie. Like it says, 70 people were injured. The cinematographer was scalped. The first AD was bit through the throat. The main guy got gangrene and almost lost his hand and almost lost his his leg. It was just insane. So the movie, if you watch it, it's pretty trash outside of just the absolute just insanity of watching people try and deliver any sort of lines with lions and tigers racing around. But yeah, just as kind of like this artifact of they truly don't make them like this anymore, I thought it was really entertaining. Like we kind of loved it in that regard, just like a group of us watching it on Discord, just being like, what
that
the
sounds
fuck
really
are we
fun.
Watching? Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. It got, I think, picked up by Draft House in like 2013, 2014, and was given a little bit of like a road tour, road trip, but it never really played anywhere else. And basically they lost their shirts on it and then ripped their family apart and divorced and all this shit.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's an insane movie. Definitely worth checking out, just as like, once again, this weird artifact of a movie that I thought was really entertaining. Outside of that, I checked out a couple of Matt Johnson's movies. I've been mentioning Nirvana, the band, the show, for a couple of months now on the podcast. And I think in the past we've mentioned Blackberry and some of those other movies. But his two earlier movies, The Dirties and
Nice.
Operation Avalanche, I hadn't seen until this past week. And it's so interesting seeing Matt Johnson act in a movie where he's not playing, I guess, his Nirvana, the band, the show character, but still there's so many shades of it in these characters. I don't know what possessed him to basically play himself in every single movie. Like the name of the character in The Dirties and in Operation Avalanche is both Matt Johnson, even though one is supposed to be this kid in film school in, the 2010s, and this other one is supposed to be like a CIA documentarian in the 60s. So it's a very weird quirk of his movies, but they were both really entertaining. The Dirties in particular was a very kind of provocative student film, I think. Like, for somebody to be in film school and be like, yeah, for my thesis film, I'm going to make a movie about two people making their thesis film about them killing their bullies in a school shooting and kind of interrogating that idea of these two filmmakers being together and trying to make their thesis film, but not knowing where the line between reality and fiction actually was drawn, to where you're starting to get this idea like your best friend and director of this movie actually might be getting ready to commit a school shooting was pretty insane. Rowan's review on Letterboxd, I think, said something along the lines of like, you're laughing the entire time until suddenly you're not. And it very much is like that sort of movie. I was cackling for, I don't know, probably 75-80% of it. It was so funny. And once again, as someone who's seen so much Nirvana the Band, the show stuff, I couldn't really divorce him from that persona. But then near the end, as it was kind of getting up to the horrific act on whether or not he was going to do it or what was going to happen, I was like starting to get a little bit sick to my stomach, especially with, obviously, it's still a huge issue in the United States of, you know, shootings and whatnot. So I was just like, this is a crazy subject for your thesis, and then featuring your teachers and students and all this shit and filming it all really like avant-garde, just run and gun filmmaking. It was pretty crazy. So I thought that was really good. And then I checked out Operation Avalanche, which that's essentially about 60s documentarians trying to see if the United States can actually land on the moon. And at the time, the theory of the movie is that they never had the capability to do it until 1971. But if they waited that long, the Russians would have done it. So they enlist the help of a documentarian who's played by Matt Johnson to fake the moon landing. But basically only very select few, like with top secret clearance, would even know that it was ever faked. And it's interesting. Like, once again, it's filmed in their style of kind of run and gun, you know, a lot of like secret camera, secret like sly angles of recording everything. And they do a really good job of faking it's the 60s, because obviously they filmed this in 2015 or whatnot. But I thought all of the styling was good. All the cars featured, the way they like shoot modern buildings, but like at obscure and weird angles to kind of hide the modern fixtures and whatnot. It was really well done, man. This is like, he's done a bunch of movies, and obviously he's a Canadian filmmaker, and I know he has another one that's just been funded by Telefilm, that he's quickly becoming one of those Canadian filmmakers that I'm going to have to keep watching, just because even though he has this weird persona and this funny quirk, you know, of like Nirvana the Band, the show, he is doing some interesting movies for sure. Like, even though each character is kind of him, and there's always like a plan or a scheme or kind of trickery and this love for filmmaking, it's interesting how he keeps reinventing that throughout his body of work so far. So I really enjoyed that as well. That was some good stuff.
It's going to be crazy to see how because he's the one that's doing the Bourdain biopic.
He is, yeah.
So it's like going to be, I just think it's going to be really interesting how he's going to attack that, just especially when you think about like Blackberry and stuff like that.
Yeah, how he's going to scale up to an A24 American production where I assume, I don't know, but I assume there's not a character in that movie named Matt Johnson, and he's kind of a prominent supporting or secondary character. So yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. I mean, I assume it's going to have that shaky camera, guerrilla, run and gun style, and I'm sure that they filmed in loads of places where they never had permission to film in typical Matt Johnson's, you know, style. But yeah, I don't know. His stuff is really interesting. There's actually a crazy car chase in Operation Avalanche with, you know, a gunfight and windows getting blown out and stuff like that, where I don't know. It's the sort of thing where if you watch his earlier stuff, it's kind of inspirational way to see how much he's evolved as a filmmaker and even as someone who's in front of the camera. So it was just really encouraging to watch that stuff. It was good stuff. Outside of that, I've been gaming a lot. I mentioned last time in passing that I was playing Hades 2, or as Mike calls it, Gades 2. And I just finished like playing that. It took me, I think it was like 85 hours to completely finish it. Wow. So it was a lot of gaming over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, but you were like platinuming it, right?
Exactly, yeah. And, you know, for our listeners, I play mostly on PlayStation. So if you're a PlayStation gamer, that's why I only picked it up within the past couple of weeks. It was just released. But I really enjoyed it. I think if the first Hades didn't exist, I would think very favorably about this one. I still think it's a great game, but the first Hades for me was just, as soon as I picked it up, within probably about an hour or two of playing it, I knew I was playing a very special roguelite game. Like, it felt like I was playing almost like a masterpiece, just the way it played, the way all the characters were drawn, how it was just almost like an infinite amount of storytelling and writing, and the way it was all voice acted and performed. It was just really impressive for a small studio. So the fact that that game was so successful, and then they made Hades 2, but it was just kind of Hades again, but much larger, with a new main character and completely new weapons and control scheme and all that, I really enjoyed. I will say for me in this case, it was kind of like they split the focus, like very much so the game now kind of has two routes you can go to kind of achieve a goal. And by doing that, there's two villains or two conflicts that the character is pursuing. So lots of times when you're talking to characters now, their dialogue isn't focused on something that you just did or focused on specifically this one conflict you're pursuing. It's split, and sometimes they're talking about one thing and sometimes talking about the other. So it didn't feel like the snowball effect for me of like working towards my goal. It just felt like they were reacting all the time. So the narrative itself, I didn't find quite as fulfilling. And some of the artwork around this time, like some of the portrayals of the characters, wasn't as great in my opinion as the first one. Obviously that's subjective, but all in all, it was a great game still. The music's excellent. The art for the most part's excellent. It plays excellent. I mean, I'm not a huge rogue light gamer just because usually I find like these repetitive runs very tedious, but Hades just does it so well, and I love how they incorporate so much storytelling into the game that it pulls me through. So yeah, I really like this one as well. I thought it was excellent. And then I dipped my toe into Saros, the new game from Housemarque, another big PlayStation game.
With my
starring,
husband.
Yeah, Rahul Kohli, right?
Yeah.
From God, what is it? Midnight Mass, and he's probably in a show.
Everything.
He's in all Flanagan stuff. So
I think he's. Yeah, I think he's great, and this is the new game from Housemarque, who did Returnal a couple of years ago. Weirdly enough, it's another roguelite that I just said that I'm not a big fan of those games, but I loved Returnal that back in 2021, 2022, whenever that came out, and I just thought it played immaculately. Like the sound design was crazy, the haptics on the controller was insane, the art direction and design, the challenge, the difficulty, everything about it. I really enjoyed Returnal. So I've just played only, 5-6 hours of Saros so far, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's solid. It's just obviously when you have a star like Rahul Kohli in the lead, they're infusing a lot more story around this time. And if you've played Returnal, storytelling was not the strong suit of that game. And I'm going to say it's still not really the strong suit of this one. They're very much leaning on a lot of the King in Yellow mythology of like similar stuff that like True Detective did. And it's a lot of people just kind of losing their mind on this planet called Carcosa, where time slips by and time slips away, and lots of people getting possessed by artwork and painting and symbology and all these sorts of things, which are really fun for a game where you're leaving play for 40 minutes at a time, but when you return it may be 3 hours for the people that are losing their mind. They do a lot of like time slippage stuff like that and time dilation. So it's good. It just hasn't grabbed me as much as Returnal. Maybe that's because I'm coming to this right after Hades 2, which is another game that's all runs and doing the same thing more or less over and over again. But it's solid. I'm going to keep playing it. I might have more to say about it on the next time that we come back and record. But yeah, both solid choices. Mike, what have you been up to? What have you been consuming?
Good question. Very good question. One that I knew was coming.
Yeah, almost like you had probably 20 minutes to prepare for it there.
and yet I am deer in the headlights right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so first of all, I have been listening to a lot of Cocteau Twins as usual, and also for some reason that I'm not quite sure about, Dead or Alive.
Okay.
And yeah, so these are two like kind of polar opposite 80s bands. Like Cocteau Twins is like, well, their first album was like kind of a gothic post-punk thing, and then they went steadily into like dream pop, and like it's very ethereal, and like she has this insane voice and sings in like made up words, and like it's very arty and obtuse and abstract. And then so I've just been like listening to them backwards and forwards, as I always do. Like they've been my comfort band since I was like a teenager. But also Dead or Alive, I'm not sure what like kind of got me on that jag, but like Dead or Alive had their one big, huge signature hit, You Spin Me Around Like a Record, which everybody knows.
Oh, of course.
And it's a banger. And it's very, like, commercial. The producers for a lot of their albums were, like, Stock Aitken Waterman, which in the 80s in Britain were, like they did their first Kylie Minogue album. They were, like, a hit factory, right? They produced and wrote everything, and it was all, like, had the exact same sound. And I've just been, like, really into it because I, like, love Pete Burns' voice. And, like, their music is actually really banger. Like, they have some really, really good albums. And
you're just on TikTok
the music is
a lot. That's what's going on here.
Girl, I haven't had TikTok on my phone in like 2 years. I don't. Is Dead or Alive big on TikTok? Like,
I don't know. I think right now the thing, because I always hear like Nev's always like on TikTok and like YouTube shorts, so I always hear like weird music that like all the creators are using, and right now they're using like a sped up Alvin and the Chipmunk version of You Spin Me Right Round. So she's been singing that for like 2 weeks now.
Okay, well, in my defense, I definitely just was like, I've been going through my old like music storage on my hard drive, and I'm pretty sure I just saw like a concert of theirs on there, and I was like, oh my god, I should like listen to their discography, and I just became like, I just went down like a fucking vortex.
And in my defense, I know the song from clicking on the wrong links on the internet from people tricking me, so...
Oh, yeah, no, it's...
Yeah.
And, like, the Dead or Alive stuff is, like, the opposite in that it's very, like, high energy, like, disco pop with a bit of rock in it, but it's, like, very super queer, so it's, like, weird that this became, like, one of the biggest hit songs of all time, but, like, their whole discography is, like, honestly fire, and I'm just enjoying listening to all the, like, popular songs, but also all the, like, deep cuts and the, like, later albums that people kind of, like, forget about because Pete Burns kind of became more of a personality than, like, known for music. And a lot of people just think it's like, oh, that guy with all the plastic surgery. But like, listen, the music is banger. Even if every album they put out in 20 years had 2 remixes of You Spin Me Around on it, that's fine. I'll take it. It's such a good song. Like, give it to me 20 times. I don't give a fuck. So I've been listening to a lot of that, but I have been watching things too, believe it or not. I've watched a few movies. Oh, very exciting. A couple days after we recorded the Blair Witch Project, I got a chance to see there was one showing on one day of the anniversary 4K scan of Fight Club.
Yes, I saw that listed.
Yeah. And
very jealous.
Luckily it was just very bizarre that we got it. And it was literally one showing on one day. It was like, 7:00 or something on like a Wednesday night. It was just, and I wouldn't have even known. Somebody else sent me the link and went like, have you seen this? I'm like, what the fuck? So my nephew, who has been getting into movies lately, he's 17 and like reading and stuff, so he had never seen it before, and his dad and I saw that like in theaters back in the day, so we were like, oh my god, we should like get tickets and go see it. So it was really cool to go see it again and see it in theaters, and the 4K restoration of it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I've seen that movie a lot over the years, but it looked really good. Like, a beautiful grainy texture, and like it was just very vibrant and looked like a bajillion dollars. And honestly, I was afraid that it wasn't going to hold up because it's very of its time. Like, it's very 1999, 2000, like, but it really does hold up. It's just such a good movie. You just kind of have to like live through the 2000-ness of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool seeing it with like a kid who like was not even alive when it came out and has no idea about the like kind of culture that it's lampooning, or maybe like very little idea.
I think it was the first time I ever heard of IKEA was that.
Oh, yeah, because, in Atlantic Canada, you would not have been IKEA-fied.
Yeah.
You got one now, though, right? Isn't there one in, like, Halifax or something?
Oh, yeah. We've had one for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But that was phenomenal. That was just such a wonderful experience. I was really glad it was, like, just full circle.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't create another film bro by introducing such a formative movie to many people at the age of 17.
I know, and I thought about that, and I was like actually having a conversation with somebody at work about it earlier that day who loves movies, and I was like, there's a whole generation of people that A, completely misunderstood that movie,
Oh, yeah.
and B, like formed their personalities around it. And like to this day, it's still like, I'm Tyler Durden. And it's like, girl, you don't know what that means. Like, did you even watch the movie? But I think he's smart enough to kind of like parse that out.
Yeah.
And also, we have showed him a couple of other movies that hopefully will make him a different kind of film bro. Like, I showed him my beautiful Blu-ray of Suspiria a couple months ago. So hopefully,
okay. No,
I'm just trying to turn him into like, yeah. Run Lola Run. Like, yeah, he's seen a bunch of movies. It's all good. I'm not afraid for his mental and social well-being because of going to see Fight Club once.
But yeah, I'm glad the restoration was great as well. I would expect Fincher for a movie of that caliber and his filmography to be hands-on with that, and obviously he's known to be like, a perfectionist.
And I mean that was like his big like tentpole studio moment. So like the budget was there to do it justice, and they really did. I will say, like, after years of watching it on like my old DVD that came in the packaging that looked like like a craft paper and tied up with a little string. It was nice to see it like really high def. So that was a wonderful experience. If anybody has that showing, I don't know if they'll be showing it anymore, but if that is playing at any of your local theaters, definitely go see it. And if the disc comes out, buy it because it's great.
Yeah, that should be out soon, I think.
Yeah, I did see there's like a steel book for it or something, maybe. And it's got the beautiful like pink soap design on the front.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorites. I'll just sort of like stick to the few horror movies I've watched since then. On one of my nights when I was just like, I need to put on a movie before bed, and I couldn't figure out what to put on, but I was in the mood for like something kind of random and old. I remembered from when we were talking about hagsploitation and, when we did Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, there was a movie that I had always heard about and never seen and had on my list called Whoever Slew Auntie Roo, which is also vaguely hagsploitation.
What was the name of that? Psycho Biddy? I think that's...
Psycho Biddies, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a great turn of phrase.
Yeah. Crazy genre name.
Yeah. And you know what? I absolutely love it. Just timeless. Every year needs a couple of Psycho Biddy movies.
You need them.
Yeah. But this one was from 1972. So it was, quite a while. Well, I mean, not that long, but whatever, like a decade after Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And the fading star of this one is the incomparable Shelley Winters. And this is a really interesting take on like kind of like a Hansel and Gretel story. She's this like widow who has lots of money and has this giant like mansion and estate out in the woods. And she's an American, but she lives in England, so it's in like the British countryside. And every year at Christmas time, she hosts essentially like a Christmas party at her house, and then for selected orphans from the local orphanage. And then, the next day they get up and she gives them all gifts, and, it's like a big Christmas feast. And, she's just sort of like, she lost her daughter, and so she's kind of like passing on, the Christmas spirit to these children who don't have parents. And, you're not very far into the movie when you realize that like there's something sinister going on, because these two kids that were not supposed to be there tagged along, and one of them looks just like her dead daughter, and all sorts of shenanigans happen, and they kind of get kidnapped there, and you find out that Auntie Roo might not be playing with a full deck. And Shelley Winters is wonderful, of course, and she can be pretty hammy.
And is she Auntie Roo in the movie?
She's Auntie Roo, yeah.
Okay.
And, it's just this isolated mansion, and she's got her, like, kind of like butlery servant kind of right-hand man who helps her take care of the house. And, it's like, was he part of this? And it's just wonderful. And it also has this, like, kind of William Faulkner moment where it's like, is there a corpse of her child in the house, and there's like secret rooms and secret passageways, and it's just honestly such a fun movie. It wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen, but like it's one of those kind of like lean and mean, like I think it was maybe an hour and a half max. And if you're into kind of like classic horror or hagsploitation or psycho biddies, definitely check it out. It's on Tubi in Canada, and I assume probably also in the States, because it's an older movie, and I feel like they're just kind of like putting it out there. And actually also on Tubi or maybe it was Shudder, but it is also on Shudder. I watched a slasher movie that I have had on my list forever from my favorite slasher movie period, 1981, and I had just never seen for some reason, and it has one of these iconic like VHS covers that for whatever reason I never rented, and it's called Madhouse, and it takes place in America. It's kind of like Pieces in that it's one of these European horror movies that takes place in America and has like a largely American cast, but is very, the like vibe of it is like this is shot in America, but it really doesn't feel like America because the whole like vibe and aesthetic is extremely European. And it's just this kind of like another lean and mean story about this teacher at a school for the deaf who has a twin sister who is in the insane asylum, and she conveniently, I'm trying to remember exactly what happens. She gets like a virus or something that kind of like ruins her face and makes her not look like the other girl, which is a really good way of not having to do 1981 special effects to make a twin.
Yeah, exactly.
Which honestly, like when I realized that's what was happening, I was like, honestly, respect. Like, I respect y'all for just saying, fuck it. It's easier to write that like she fucked up her face and that's why she doesn't look like the main actress.
I'm looking at the cover of the movie and it looks really badass, but it has this big dog on it. I wonder, could have they not just had one of the twins get mauled by a dog or something and have facial reconstructive surgery or something?
And you know what? That would have made sense because essentially people start getting killed, and it's like in the lead up to it. There's a countdown. It starts like 3 or 4 days before their birthday, and every day leading up to their birthday, like someone closer to her gets killed viciously, and it's often a dog gets sicked on them, and she escapes from the mental asylum. So obviously the sister is like hunting down her, healthy, free sister, and getting revenge and etc.
Gotcha.
And it's honestly really fun. Unfortunately, I had to watch it in 2 parts because somebody drunkenly FaceTimed me like 45 minutes into it, and it's someone that I haven't spoken to in like the better part of a year and like 7 months. And I thought it was an emergency or something, so I answered it, and then I just had to like talk to her drunk ass all night. And so then I finished it the next day, and I was like, I kind of wished I had already like forgotten a bit of what happened. So I don't recommend watching movies like that, by the way. I know some people do it and it's fine, but like if you're like me and have ADHD brain, like you gotta watch it all in one go. Like it's not gonna work. I feel like I need to watch it again to get the like full movie at once experience, because it's only 90 minutes. Like there's not that much going on, but still my brain just got fried. And but yeah, it's fun if you like that kind of European slasher of the early 80s. It's very not American. That's all I'll say. There's an aesthetic to it. And I also watched, I decided one day on my day off, I set my alarm early and said, I'm going to get up and be really productive today and do lots of things on my to-do list. And I got up and made a cup of coffee and then decided to go back to bed and watch Ready or Not.
Oh,
like
okay.
The first one. Just randomly, I was like, I want to go back to bed and watch a movie. And just for whatever reason, I said, I want to watch Ready or Not. I wanted something that was like a horror movie, but kind of like fun and light. And I was like, that was just hitting the spot.
Have you seen that before?
No.
No? Okay, all right. This was a first time watch. I couldn't remember because this one has been discussed behind the scenes numerous times for us to do on the show at some point. So I just wasn't sure if this was one that was in your rotation already.
Well, and then that's why I have put off watching it for the last couple of years, because I just assumed that we were going to pick it at some point, probably in the near future. So I said, I won't watch it because, that'll just spoil it. I'd rather, but, I just decided, fuck it. This is the mood I'm in. And I watched it and I fucking loved it. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait until I can get my hands, cough, cough, sail the seas online and watch number 2. Because I don't think it's still officially out yet.
Okay.
But, and I wanted to watch it before part 2 came out and then go see it in theaters, but I didn't because I'm lazy. What can I say? I also watched Hokum, which just came out. Well, when we're recording this, it just came out a couple days ago. I will not be on the Now Slaying episode because I am tired.
Let them know what you thought of it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know me, I'm not like, I never see movies like opening weekend in theaters. Usually if I go see them in theaters, it's like at least 2 or 3 weeks later. But I just got off work on Friday and decided I'm going to go see a movie. Fuck it. Like, I'm out. Like, I got a coffee. Like, let's do this. Like, you know, like, if I go home, I'm not going to drag my ass back out to the theater again. So, I was going to go see Devil Wears Prada 2. And then I said, fuck it. There's a horror movie out. I'm going to go to it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was some little... Okay, speaking of Hansel and Gretel, there was some little, like, breadcrumbs that I was picking up in that movie that led my brain the entire movie down a very bizarre path. And I essentially spent the whole movie watching it thinking that this totally off base insane thing was going to happen. And so, like, I was just like, the whole movie was colored to me through that interpretation that I had in my head. And then the fucking credits come up and I'm like, okay, so this is not going to happen. And I felt completely insane. And I went by myself. I went after work. You know, there was like maybe 20 people in the theater probably because it was 5 o'clock on a Friday. So I know everybody would probably go into like the 7, 8, 9, 10 show. And I thought I was crazy. I was like, what the fuck? So I wrote my Letterboxd review on the bus ride home. And then Colton comments and said, I thought the same thing. So I was like, okay, this crazy theory that I had about the movie, which I won't say.
Yeah.
Because it's very spoilery. But like Colton also thought it, and I'm like, okay, Colton has a fucking like good solid head on his shoulders. So if he also thought this, then I'm not as crazy as I think I am.
Yeah, I think Rowan and I will discuss it in greater detail, definitely on Now Slaying, but there is something that happens within the first 25, 30 minutes of this movie, and then even has some changes in the filmmaking style when that moment happens, that very much opens the door to this sort of reading of the movie that Mike wrote on his Letterboxd, that I 100% thought it was going to be a reveal near the end, especially when taking into account Adam Scott's character's job and, you know, some of what's said in the first act. Anyways, we'll leave it vague. And maybe you already know what we're discussing because you could have listened to the Now Slaying by now, but Mike's not crazy, is what I'd say. I definitely think they were, you know, dipping a toe into this sort of thing and maybe didn't go that full way because some people wouldn't have been satisfied with it. Or who knows? And I wonder if that was deliberate. I now that you sort of like backed me up in that there was an interpretation or a reading of that kind of twist, shall we say? Yeah. I wonder if they did leave that door open for you to do that. So I don't know. I guess you guys can talk about it, and you know my thoughts, so you can chime them in. Oh yeah, we'll discuss. Have you seen any of his other movies, Mike? I am going to watch Oddity this week. I still haven't seen it. I've had that on my list forever. Like, as soon as I saw the poster, I was like, I don't even know what this is about, but that's so cunty. I need to see it. And you guys were talking about it on here a few times. And yeah, it comes up every now and then. It has a very interesting we did villain, it at one of the end of the year, didn't we? We did, yeah. We actually covered it, yeah. Yeah, so listen, I wasn't specifically waiting to see his first movie that had an American lead. That's not what I was doing. I'm from Newfoundland. Most of my family is like from England and Ireland and Scotland, so I was not discriminating. It's just the first one that was in theaters when I got out of work on a Friday. Yeah, I mean, Oddity didn't play in theaters here, and I don't think it got really... I think it went straight to Shudder in Canada. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure it was straight to Shudder after, you know, New York and LA or something like that. Yeah, of course, the usual. And we had our little movie club last night, and we watched a couple of 4Ks that were beautiful, of course. And our theme of the night was, drumroll, insert cupcake saying vagina, Amy Steele, who, as we all know, is our favorite final girl from Friday the 13th. So we watched Friday the 13th Part 2, which is the one that she is the lead character in. And we also watched one of our favorites on this podcast from the early days, April Fool's Day, which notoriously, when we recorded our episode, me and Ro and X got extremely drunk. And it took at least 4 hours, I think, for us to record this, because it was a while. We kept going off on tangents. It was an entire night, and forgetting that we were recording, and we just were like chit chatting, and then we'd like get up to pee every 20 seconds because we've been drinking a lot, and it's a movie that it just makes me feel good.
I think
A lot of
Friday
good
the
memories.
13th part 2 was also like around one of X's last episodes that she was on,
Yeah.
like the main person on.
Oh my God, you're
believe,
right. I
yeah.
totally forgot about that.
Because I remember doing one and
R.I.P.
2. I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I fresh from getting my Scream Factory box set. I remember
Oh, yes,
cracking it
that's
open
right.
to watch it.
God, that box set that I was so jealous of, and I still wish I had. I'm not gonna lie. So if I ever come there, you better fucking lock that shit up. Put a spider wire on it. Put an alarm on your house, because I'm coming for it. Yeah, those movies, obviously, we've done them on this podcast before. We know I love them. I'm going through a like weird mental phase where I'm really like looking at kind of old slasher movies and seeing them in this like philosophical, like social, like pool, and it's just really affecting the way I watch these like exploitation movies and my reactions to them. So I don't know. I won't talk too much about it, but you can go on Letterboxd and see the spin out I was having after we watched Friday the 13th 2 last night. And the fact that I gave it 5 stars, which is more than I've given like if I put Citizen Kane on there, it'll probably be 4 stars. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Ro, how have you been spending your time?
I mean, I'm going to wrap us up fairly quick because it's been a very busy week for me with the kid's birthday, doing lots of stuff for that all week. I will shout out a cool thing I did last weekend that we're recording this. I got to see Bruce McCullough did a stand-up show here in Halifax, and most people would know him from Kids in the Hall. So we got to go check that out. I got to meet him. Super nice guy.
So cool.
Awesome show. It was fantastic. Picked up the vinyl of it, all that good stuff. It was a good time.
Ooh, there was vinyl?
Yeah, he's got the new show on vinyl, and so I bought that in a stuffy. He was selling like purple bears.
Oh my God, was it a Labubu?
No, it was just a purple bear. He does a whole bit at the beginning because his kids are really in the stuffies, so he like goes to people in the audience that have had recent trauma and lets them like hold a stuffy the whole show, and yeah, it was cool. So, I bought one, some memorabilia. Honestly, a little bit of TV going on in my household right now. So I'm all caught up now, but been doing Daredevil Born Again still. I was a couple episodes behind. Everything I've been waiting for coming into fruition. We've got like the old Netflix gang starting to get together now. They're teasing Luke Cage and
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones is showing up already. She's heavy in it.
Yes. Oh, my queen. I loved Jessica Jones. That was probably the last Marvel show that I watched.
I'm also a huge Jessica Jones fan, so I'm just all for it. I thought the season's been really good so far. I'm like episode 4 or 5. Me and X are watching the new season of Beef, which I am really, really enjoying. I think I like it better than I like the first season.
Wait, who's in this one again? I know, I just forget.
Carey Mulligan, Oscar Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
The guy from May December.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Charles Melton?
Yeah, Charles Melton. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking hook me up. Give me your Netflix password right now.
And, God, what's her name? Alien Romulus.
Not Kaylee Spinney, is it?
Yeah, Kaylee Spinney.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
those are the core 4, I believe.
Yeah, and they're like some of the like extra people in it are like I can't think of their names, but you're like, oh, that guy from like 8 million things.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
I've really been, this season's so good. Me and Auxiliary really been liking it. And I really liked the first season, but I just think this one's been awesome. We got to, like, no spoilers, we got to like a real gross out episode that was fantastic. And
what is the beef around this time? Because in the first one, it's like road rage, right? Between two people.
So I think, to me, this one's like, I think a little more deep and interesting. So it's about a country club, and it's like, the manager of the country club who is married to a wealthy woman, like her family's wealthy, but they're basically like struggling because she's dumped all her money into this guy essentially, and they're just kind of barely hanging on. And then Charles Melton and Kaylee
Spaney
are like low level, like part-time workers. And it's like essentially they catch Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan, they're married, and they catch them fighting in like some domestic abuse situations, and basically it just like it's all about blackmail this whole season. It
threatens to ruin them, if it gets out. I can see that.
And it's just like you just gotta watch it. Like I said, I don't want to give anything away. It's like Korean gangs, and like it gets wild. And I just like it because more so of like two people just fighting the whole time. This is just like about everybody, no matter how little of a character, like everybody using everybody to like move up or get something or blackmail someone. Like it's just all about using people in this, like perceived high-end like social life. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Mike will love it. Charles Melton, shirtless most of it. He's got like a dirt stash going on, a little mustache going.
Oh, nice.
He's supposed to be like a fitness instructor or something in it. And he's like,
I would say more.
He's very like, bubbling toxic masculinity, but he's all about like, I'm just trying to set up a safe space. And like, he's very politically correct and stuff. And if you haven't watched it yet, it's so good. It's so good. We've been really, really enjoying it. That's it for TV. So the other things I've watched, I'll rip through the stuff that I've either talked about before, or we have an episode on it, or, I'm not going to talk about it. So obviously we said Hokum, listen for my opinion. Hokum. I said Hokum, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hokum, that's the movie I watch. But also rewatch Talk to Me. Watched that at work with a buddy of mine that hadn't seen it before. He hadn't seen that or Bring Her Back. Okay. So I watched Talk to Me with him, and then him and his partner watched Bring Her Back the other day, and he said he preferred Bring Her Back over Talk to Me.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So I was like, oh, okay. But I don't know. I just know that hit really hard for me and Colton when it came out. So
that's like lightning in a bottle for me. I really love Talk to Me. So
yeah. So a couple other things I watched at work with him. Let him experience Altered States for the first time. He had never seen it. So yeah, obviously.
Do you have the 4K of that?
I don't. So I looked it up. Is there a 4K of it? Is there not?
Oh, wait, it might not be out yet. Criterion is doing a 4K.
Yeah, I know they're doing one. I don't think it's out yet, though.
Okay, it might not be out. I just feel like, I freaked out when that got announced, so that feels like it was 6 months ago, but that could have been a month ago. I don't know.
I'm all about waiting for the Criterion sale to buy my Criterions. Like, that's one that I don't even know if I'll wait. Like, I might just, to show how much I love it, pay them full price for it.
Pay the full price, yeah.
But yeah, watch that. We also watched Room 237.
Love it.
We talked about
it's crazy. I think that you gave that 5 stars.
5 stars. It's one of my favorite.
That's like a schizo documentary.
It's one of my favorite documentaries ever. Yeah, I love it so much. He had never seen it.
I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah, he had never seen it, and he was the one that came with me and Mom to the Shining screening that we went to. And I kept telling him, I'm like, you got to watch. Have you ever seen this? No, you got to watch this. Like, it's nuts. And I think he thought I might have been nuts after showing it to him, because he's just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I was like, I love it. I love it. I love the way it's made. I love all that guy's stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's like a YouTube video essay, and it really is, with just these threadbare connections to everything, just like being like, well, what if it's this the entire time for like 2 hours?
Yeah, exactly. So, I had a time watching it. And then the one rewatch that I can't believe I rewatched, A Good Man, Steven Seagal.
Oh.
Which, this is like not good Steven Seagal. This is like straight to Tubi. I made this in Russia, Steven Seagal. He was just in a mood to watch something Seagal, and he was like, he's never seen any like old classic Seagal. But he's like, I really want to watch one of these shitty ones. So I'm like, there's tons on Tubi.
That's a choice.
Well, and I'm like, there's tons. There's like 30 on Tubi. Pick one from 2010 on. We'll sit down, we'll watch it. And he literally picks the one that I've seen already. And
listen, Ro, you are a very good friend.
Yes.
You have the patience of a saint. The fact that you said, fuck it, I'll watch whatever shitty, like, triple Z tier Steven Seagal movie you want. That's friendship right there.
The only good thing about watching this time is because I didn't have to really pay attention to it. I'm like, I already saw this. So it was a lot of me being like, hey, I really kind of recognize this guy. So I'm just like looking people up, and like one of the co-stars in this, he's like a very Hallmark coded guy. He's Canadian, I think. And I feel like he was in Sex and the City too, maybe, or like there was some show. I think it was Sex and the City that he was in, but it was just like a random guy. I'm like, wow, this is really a downfall from Sex and the City to Russia with Steven Seagal, in this barely watchable movie. Now, this one's a little bit of a funny story. So I don't know if I've ever talked about it, but so I have we've talked about my collecting habits. I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to movies. I have issues. I just want to own every movie ever. But
by the way, I'm becoming you now.
Yeah.
With my thrifting habits. I just want you to know.
So with my thrifting, I've kind of become like patriotic. So I've really like started buying random things like DVDs, VHS, like stuff like about Canada or about Nova Scotia or Newfoundland, like just kind of like Canadian stuff. And I'm like, I just kind of have these like documentaries about, whatever. So I bought this set that I thought was like documentary style, and it was called Canada by Rail. And I was like, yeah, this is why. Like, it's just trains going on train routes. So what I thought it was like when you watch, some people watch those videos when they're on treadmills of like a car traveling from, I don't know, Germany to Scotland, and you're literally just like looking out the front window. And I was like, oh, that might be kind of cool, because these are like, it's all out west and it's like in the Rockies and stuff. And, I'm thinking like, oh, if I'm high or something, like this might be cool, just put on when I'm folding laundry, checking out the sites. It was not this. It was like...
like your version of like a fireplace channel.
Yeah, exactly. But what it was like, it was made by a company from Arizona. They just traveled the like, they also have other series like US by Rail and all this, but all of his shots are like really far away, and it looks like it's shot with like a home video camera from like 2002. And then basically you're like watching a train go around a corner, because it's just like a camera set up on a tripod, like on a mountaintop looking at it. And while it passes every once in a while, he just gives you random facts about the train or like the route or something, and then it'll just a bad transition to another hill that he stands on and takes another shot. And for some reason I watched like the whole hour and 20 minutes of this, just like,
oh my god, you could have watched a full ass movie.
But now I'm like, it's one of those things where I'm now determined there's 4 DVDs in this set. I watched one of them and I'm like, I need to watch the other 3.
So when you watch them, are you going to subject us on the air to describing them?
Yes,
in 2 to 3 minutes every time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole.
Oh no,
it's gonna be a whole thing now.
So this DVD was in a different part of British Columbia.
Listener, it's fine to click the skip 30 seconds ahead.
Skip 30. I'm done. I'm done talking about now. And then quickly, I was getting ready for what I lovingly call Hokum. But
Hokum is the correct
Hokum. I can't even keep the joke straight.
Man, oh man.
I can't wait to record this
The
episode.
way Ro tried to butcher it and pronounced it properly tells you everything you need to know about his linguistic patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a chance to check out his first one there that came on Shudder, Caveat. Yeah. Because I had never seen it, and I saw it with my buddy at work, because he actually went to Hokum with me.
Oh,
did I get the
nice.
right? Yeah.
That's the right one.
Yeah.
He killed it.
So, because he had watched Oddity, but he hadn't seen any of the other ones. And, so I watched that. I won't give my thoughts just in case, I always say horror and it's kind of cool. I don't know. I kept thinking while I was watching, I'm like, am I just really in the Irish horror right now or something? Like, what's going on here? And then the last two I'll mention, because I don't think I mentioned it. I watched them. I think I watched them after we recorded our episode. Did I talk about my Portland Trailblazers documentary I watched? I don't think. It was on Netflix. No. It wasn't very good. It's called Untold. It's a documentary sports series. The documentary is called The Jailblazers. It was basically a basketball team for the Trailblazers. They assembled where all these guys were like in legal trouble. They basically got like star players for cheap because they were like caught with drugs, or they were just like players that no other team wanted to deal with. And they went on quite a run. They never won anything. And it was just one of those bad documentaries where it was like everything they talked about, you already knew. It's stuff that anyone that would know anything about it would know. And they don't dive into anything new. So it was just like a total waste of time. And the last thing I'll talk about, I did get a chance to check out Roommates, the Chandler Levesque.
Yeah, the Canadian filmmaker.
Yeah.
Her new movie. I think she has a
movie
out in theaters right now.
They came out on the exact same day. One in theater, one on Netflix.
Insane. Yeah, Mile End Kicks is the other one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's in theaters here right now, or it was.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she had done one that I haven't seen yet, that I had on my list, that I Like Movies.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched that in the past couple of months. I didn't discuss it on the show. I may have missed the episode, but yeah, it was a neat little movie.
But yeah, this was all right. Stars Sadie Sandler, Adam Sandler's daughter, and it had Chloe East in it. And then I would think probably of like most note would be like Sarah Sherman and Martin Hurley, who are like two people from Saturday Night Live are in it. And Nick Kroll and Natasha Lyonne, I guess, are also pretty big. I thought it was pretty.
I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I went in kind of thinking it wasn't. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like, like a 2-star, just like kind of whatever. I thought it was kind of endearing. Obviously, I can't like overly connect with it. It's about like female bonding and like in your first year of college and how difficult it is. But
is it modern or early 2000s?
So it kind of flips between both. Actually,
interesting.
So like a lot of the SNL people play like older teachers that are like talking about their experiences and then relating it.
Gotcha.
Relating it to what's going on. But I thought it was pretty good. It's one of those movies I'd be interested to see how in a couple of years, like I could see this kind of being like a teen cult kind of hit movie. Like it's got great music in it. There's a lot of like 2000s music and good like now music in it. And like I thought the jokes were pretty good. Like I just overall thought it was a pretty comfy, funny watch for me. And yeah, I mean, that's my rant. Other than that, just reading a lot of Chainsaw Man, and I'm not going to bore you with that. So
I'm a little disappointed in what you've been consuming, Rowan, just because last episode, you mentioned 2 movies that you described as your Lord of the Rings trilogy, 2 parts of it. I don't see In the Name of the King 3. You didn't,
you didn't
finish out the trilogy.
So we've been savoring that one because so how it works is there's 2 guys at work that every 2 weeks they alternate working nights with me. So I was on nights with the guy that didn't watch the other 2 with me.
Okay. So
actually tomorrow, excuses. Monday, will be number 3 going down. Next episode I'll report.
If you don't talk about it next episode, we're coming for you.
But with that, it's time to announce the film for this evening. Colton, this was your pick.
Yeah, and I mean, if you listen to our last episode, we were kind of flirting around if we were going to actually choose this throughout the episode just based on if people had seen it or, if it'd be worth discussing. So yeah, our pick for tonight is Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, largely chosen just because of the vibe of the last episode. It seemed like we all enjoyed talking about the original, the Blair Witch Project, and just through the jigs and reels of it all, some of us had seen this one or were a little bit familiar with it, or maybe more familiar with the Wingard movie or whatnot. So I just thought it'd be a fun pick. There was nothing I had specifically in mind to slot in right now in May to review. So it's Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. And to tell you the truth, I was hoping Jill was going to be on the episode just from looking at a couple of the pictures, I thought it was like a fun, once again,
Jill
early
movie.
2000s kind of trashy sort of movie.
Queen of the Damned vibes.
Yeah, that's glancing at it, that's what it gave me. So yeah, let's get into it.
So with that, let's get into the trailer, and we'll be back for the synopsis and first experiences.
You've heard the stories.
A brutal murder in the Black Hills discovered today.
You've witnessed the horror. Now,
police have arrested 17-year-old Jeff
Drove him to evil.
look into the face of evil. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Rated R. Starts Friday, October 27th.
Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 was directed by Joe Berlinger and written by Joe Berlinger and Dick Beebe. And the story is as follows. I just have to give myself a moment just for Dick Beebe. After the footage recovered from a trio of missing filmmakers became a worldwide phenomenon, fans flocked to the small town of Burkittsville to further their understanding of the original Blair Witch Project and uncover what truly happened in the woods, only to come face to face with their own neuroses and possibly the Blair Witch herself.
So, first experiences. Is this our first time going to check out the sequel of the Blair Witch, or are we just giant Dick Beebe fans and, we just absolutely love everything involved with the icon himself?
I mean, you should maybe look into what he wrote. There might be things that you actually like.
Maybe good.
Yeah.
I just like to know that I'm definitely not cutting out the pause of you you laughing.
Oh shit!
Just gotta keep it in there. But it was your pick, Colton. Have you seen it before?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen this one before. Obviously, I was familiar with it. I knew it existed. I was kind of shocked that it came out like a year after the original. But I've only seen the original, The Blair Witch Project, a couple of times. And I've seen Adam Wingard's, I think, 2015 remake, requel, reimagining, whatever you want to call it. I've seen that at least once, but I've never checked out Book of Shadows. Mike, I can't remember if you said that you've seen this before or not on our last episode.
Yeah, I don't think that we got it in theaters here.
Okay.
Or if we did, maybe it's just I was like at the age where I didn't go see it, but which would be weird because I saw the original in theaters, but I don't remember seeing this in theaters. I think I saw it like we rented it from the video store.
Okay.
But I did see it like when it was first out. Like if we rented it, it was like the weekend that it came out, on DVD and tape. Yeah. So I did see it like contemporaneously.
Yeah.
And I have never watched it since. Sorry, I was drinking and I forgot to throw it to Euro.
Yeah, so I said I'd seen it before, and I'm positive I rented it before, but I'll just let you know right now, when I watched this, I did not remember a single thing. Like, this was definitely, I might as well be seeing it for the first time, because I didn't know anything that happened. Not, like, as I was watching it, nothing was like, oh yeah, I'm refreshing my memory right now. So this is basically just a first-time watch for me.
That's so weird, because I never watched it since it first came out, which was 20-something years ago, and I didn't remember much about it, but I vividly remembered like the last 20 minutes of the movie, like whole. I've never forgotten the whole like twist and like the kind of setup of everything that happened at the end. The rest of the movie, the whole middle of it, I don't remember at all. But like,
yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's witchcraft. Maybe that's why we're forgetting.
Ooh, you're right.
So, I mean, with that, why don't we go sit ourselves down in the foundation and dance on the large tree, talk about Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. I do gotta leave this spot for a unpaid for, and me just bringing in my own sponsor, CTV. I'd like to shout them out for providing me the link to watch Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
CTV?
Exactly where I would like to watch it. So when I looked it up, a Letterboxd, or not Letterboxd, Roku told me it was on Crave for free. Crave or Plex. And I was like, wow, Plex is a lot of commercials. Like a lot of commercials.
Yeah.
So let me throw it on Crave. Like I've got Crave, all good.
Ugh, except.
Well, Crave has this new thing now where they kind of like, they'll pimp out other services if they don't have it. So I click on it and the CTV logo was in the entire movie. I watched it, like just the, like the kind of the see-through, transparent CTV logo.
What did you watch it on? Because I also watched it on Crave. Was it a laptop?
I know, just on my Roku.
Oh, okay. Because I watched it on my TV app, like the Crave.
So did I.
Smart TV app. And I had ads, but no CTV. Like, I knew it was CTV because the thing came up at the beginning, but there was no floating logo on it. I just had like 5 sets of ads.
Weird. Yeah, no.
So did you have ads?
I did have ads.
Oh, okay. So at least I had ads and no logo.
I like that we don't portray ourselves as professionals on this podcast because the way you guys wind up watching the movies we cover sometimes.
Bro, did you watch Jaws on your phone? Like,
yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. I guess this while I was taking a shit.
Yeah, I guess this is like a bad episode for me to bring that up because I accidentally watched a weird ass version of the original The Blair Witch Project before watching it.
Edit.
But most of the time, I put in a lot of effort to find a good version of it.
You do. So much so that we were going to do multiple versions of Alien 3.
Yeah, and I can't believe I actually had the time to watch still the 2 separate versions of Alien 3 and then nobody else watched them.
And I just was
truly
like,
a low point for me.
Computer, find fan edit.
Yeah, exactly. Watch the different 10 minutes out of context.
Exactly.
Like I said, I wanted to shout it out because to me, watching this just seemed appropriate on the CTV app, especially as a Canadian. Real. Yeah, it felt super real. So I just had to give them a shout out. CTV, which I'm not going to lie, have it on my phone. They also provide free movies, like a streaming app.
The CTV app is actually insane.
And they actually, every once in a while...
What is this paid sponsorship? This is insane.
We've gone off of Tubi. We're now CTV now. That's we're promoting CTV now.
Well, listen, I will say CTV for Canadians, the movie selection's pretty good, but for TV shows, there's a lot of good fucking shit on there. They definitely beat Tubi for TV shows.
So I was going to say, this is my first time really realizing that Joe Berlinger directed it. Like, watching it this time, it never clicked to me.
Am I supposed to know who the fuck that is?
He's a prolific documentarian, I believe. Like, I think he was nominated for an Oscar
Paradise
or something,
Lost.
if I'm not mistaken.
He did the Paradise Lost documentary about the
missing children.
The missing children.
Missing children or murdered children, something like that.
So it was murdered children and 3 people that were like arrested and convicted in Memphis, and they didn't do it. Like,
the Memphis 3?
Yeah.
Or whatever? Yeah. Oh, okay.
And because they were goth.
Why didn't you just say that?
Yeah, but I mean, like,
you're like, you should know these documentaries, and I'm like, I'm ignorant.
Paradise
I don't know
Lost
anything.
might be one of the first true crime documentaries I ever remember watching, and like, I remember renting it and being obsessed with that case, like anything I could find on like early YouTube about it. But he also directed the Extremely Wicked as well, I believe, right?
He's been kind of in the Netflix churn of true crime stuff lately with like the Ted Bundy tapes or Conversations with Jeffrey Dahmer. But yeah, he did whatever that movie is with Zac Efron. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil
and vile.
Oh, is that the one where he plays Ted Bundy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. That was
So he did that too. But he's done basically all of those Netflix true crime documentaries about serial killers in more recent years.
Yeah, he did.
But back
Bundy,
at around this time, but back at around this time, he was known for, I think, the Paradise Lost movie or kind of a couple of different movies. And there was a documentary around this time, I think a couple years later, he was actually nominated, like I said, for an Oscar for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did I recognize the cover. He did like the big Metallica one.
Yes,
some kind of monster. Yeah. So I'd never seen that, but I remember seeing that in the video store and stuff. But
of course.
So watching it this time, knowing it was him, it was like kind of I'm gonna say it was like kind of an interesting watch for me. I think just.
I like that you're not sure.
Well,
I think it was an interesting watch.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I kind of felt about it too. I think this is interesting. I think there will be something to discuss, possibly.
I mean, I feel like it's going to be a lot of convo of us, because, I mean, I don't know what you guys looked at. I looked at a bunch of stuff. Like, this is like a very problematic production and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think I think he brought some very interesting things to the table that maybe didn't come to fruition at the end result.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, we'll get into like the studio meddling and all that sort of shit eventually, but the thing is like, we can't review the movie that doesn't exist, or we can't discuss the movie that doesn't exist. And what we got here is a bit of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different ideas, and it's being cut around, and for some reason it's a mystery at one point, and then it's not. And I think for me, as I started this movie, the most interesting part of the movie was literally within the first 2 minutes of the movie, where I liked seeing or exploring the impact of the success of the first movie on the town of Burkittsville, and the idea of kind of a documentary film crew or doing a recreation or something, and basically following kind of what has befallen that small town, and then looking into the Blair Witch lore in the world of like people knowing that it might not be 100% real sort of thing, but maybe some of it is
and
real.
Especially because that was legitimately something that they were grappling with in real life at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was interesting and a good idea for a Blair Witch sequel. After I think literally like 3 to 4 minutes, it completely diverges from that. It just becomes like a regular movie that you've seen. It feels very early 2000s and kind of gets rid of a lot of the Blair Witch style and framing and even like filmmaking techniques, I thought. It just feels like an early 2000s horror movie, more or less, to me.
Yeah, because even with like, you know, because obviously he very much is, I felt it was like purposeful that he was like, okay, I'm totally going so far away from found footage.
Oh, it is absolutely purposeful.
Yeah, that it, you know, this is going to be a total, like you said, it's just so early, it's so 2000s, like editing and the jump cuts and stuff. But I thought it was interesting, even the way he still uses like interviews and them like looking at tape and stuff when they're reviewing tape. So like keeping this little bit of like found footage in it, but it's like
you're taking it at like one kind of meta remove. So instead of being in the camera like you were in the first one, they've now plucked you up a level and you're watching the video from the camera on a screen.
Yeah.
Right?
And
so
the characters
that's kind
in the
of
movie are reacting to what they're seeing on the screen and trying to figure it out.
So it's still sort of like found footage, but it's like, oh, we're at this postmodern remove where you're watching someone watch the found footage.
It's also not found footage,
which might be giving
like
it too much credit.
Long. Yeah, it's also not like a found footage movie of a week-long descent kind of through the woods and into madness, more or less. It's like
one like 2 days
where they go out and they
one night.
It's just one night. They go out and drink too much, smoke too much, and all black out essentially one night. That's really it for the in the woods section.
I couldn't stop thinking the entire time I was watching this for some reason. I just kept thinking all it really reminded me of was Halloween Resurrection. Just probably because of like, the internet and the cameras and stuff. I was like, this is very, very much kind of on point with that kind of vibe, where it was like watching people react to cameras and webcams and stuff like that. I will say, though, God bless the 2000s. The introduction of the characters, I was so into this, where it's like,
I know.
It's like we're picking them up in the van, and it's just like, these are the academics. This is the goth girl.
Yeah,
goth
it's like here's
laying on a tombstone.
Saying, by the way, I'm
but
she's got to have some saucy quip.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, no, I'm just getting the energy because I'm fucking tired, bitches, you know? And it's like,
yeah.
Love it.
And just like the free spirit Wiccan woman, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this is some great stuff here.
Yeah, I so thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, awesome. Like, introduce them quick. We don't need to know. We get it. Like, we get the goth mommy, the
Oh yeah, they're like, quickly, here's 30 seconds to introduce your archetype.
Even Jeff's just facial hair and like hair product that I still have to some degree.
Thank you, because I had a note. Like, I said that fucking goatee is like haunts me to this day of that time period.
Yeah, that's like the new metal goatee from around that time, you know, that so many
this was such a new metal movie,
grungy bands. Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna ask you guys too, just for the music. You guys usually love music and needle drops and shit, but I was like, I don't know if this is their vibe or not.
Okay, so first of all, I had notes about this, and we're gonna talk about it now for a second.
I mean, we got some Nickelback in here, you know.
Okay, we won't talk about that, but we're gonna talk about first how there is a very early needle drop of what would soon become a very famous band, and that is Queens of the Stone Age.
Yep. Okay.
When they're partying, and you know, it's like very literal, like alcohol and nicotine, right? You know, it's like I was just like, when I first saw this, I did not know Queens of the Stone Age, so I was like, oh my god, this is so fucking cool, because I do love them, which surprises some people. And bit of lore, I did get to see them live here once.
Nice.
Because I quote unquote won tickets in beer, i.e. I drank 14 dozen beer one summer trying to get tickets to this fucking concert and didn't, and my best friend had to go on Kijiji and buy them off somebody for like $200.
I was gonna say, would it have been just cheaper to buy them instead of get 14 dozen beer to try and...
Well, yes, it would have, because when you look at it at like whatever it was, $20-something a dozen
at a certain point. Yeah. Where you're like, oh, it's the next dozen.
I just feel a lot of like okay boomer energy coming from Colton towards us right now. I feel like offended. I also want to say, someone who has also seen Queens of the Stone Age live in Halifax. I didn't have to do all that. I went for free because I worked where they...
I mean, it's not necessarily okay boomer energy. It's just like this sort of music, where it's like the new metal, rap, rock sort of shit is more what I grew up with, right? And I like readily admit I have what most people would consider as like terrible music taste outside of like maybe Jill.
At
right?
least you're self-aware.
You know, I'm listening to metalcore, clean singing and screaming and whatnot. You know, I was excited for the Linkin Park reboot a couple of years ago and shit, right? Yeah. You know, when I was listening to this movie, a lot of that was closer to what I would have been listening to a few years after that than what I would assume you guys readily listen to. That's all. So watching it instantly took me back to the early 2000s. So much so it's like it like ages the movie instantly. I mean, obviously there's all the style and the characters and you know there's a bunch there, but the music I think more than anything just ages this instantly.
It's insane.
It's
and
Marilyn
you know what?
Manson,
I actually, even though they're
the opening song,
Disposable
Teens,
even though most of the music in it I was not a fan of, I love Queens of the Stone Age, and of course my Queen Poe is the final needle drop as the opening credits start or closing credits start.
Gotcha. Okay.
Haunted, and but I enjoyed it for the reasons that you're talking about, because it instantly I got fucking psychic whiplash and went back in time. Every time I heard these songs, I was like, this, like I literally had to look around and be like, I'm in 2026, right? Like it just it was just like the sense memory was just like gone back decades.
I'm looking
originally
at the album.
It was supposed to open. Okay.
But I like some of these songs, I'm like, were these, because you know how they did back then, like you'd have the album and songs wouldn't even be like on the actual CD, like Dragula, Rob Zombie was in it. Is it? I can't remember that drop. But I mean, I was gonna say we have to shout out like System of a Down, POD. I remember.
I didn't play System of a Down, but I mean, there's that section where essentially they're losing time and they're just playing a bunch of songs on the boombox in the background. Yeah. And there's a bunch of things they go through, just quick snippets.
And I will say a reoccurring theme on not just all of Rowan's Spotify playlists, but also mixed CDs from high school. And that's the song Arc Arsenal by At the Drive-In. That's like a Rowan classic. Shout out to that. Yeah, great soundtrack.
Do you think the movie would have been better served if it opened up with Frank Sinatra's Witchcraft as it was originally supposed to? Or do you think Marilyn Manson's Disposable Teens is more of a vibe?
This is the issue, is I can see where he would have been interested. Prestigious documentary maker coming in, like, we're gonna have Frank Sinatra, we're gonna classy this horror movie up a bit. I think because of the themes and the ideas in this, he had like some big ideas. But yeah, I think this is what the people needed. Apparently not, because it didn't do that well. But I think now that we can reflect,
it did do well financially.
Yeah,
financially.
financially.
Of course, coming out less than a year after Blair Witch Project, it made like $45 million or something off a $15 million budget. But it doesn't look like a $15 million movie. And obviously, critically, and then also the way people view it nowadays, like, no, it's not well reviewed.
This Marilyn Manson's what we needed. And I looked, the music actually, like the album and everything, was all released on Marilyn Manson's label. So that makes sense why all these bands, like, they would have been able to grab all these guys with the music. But gotcha. I think it fits. You can't have goth mommies and goth titties and not have Marilyn Manson and all this stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean,
playing.
apparently all this music was added all after the fact by studio meddling, right? All, like, this whole kind of new metal, rap rock, late 90s, early 2000s rocker vibes was all after the fact. So,
well, I mean, at that time, there was a few very successful soundtracks where that was, like, the theme. So I think they were just like, well, if we're going to fucking studio the shit out of this movie and not make it found footage, like, let's just, like, pimp out a soundtrack, too.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because the movie has, as we've been discussing now for probably 5 minutes or so, this sort of music that's, like, indelible to the time period. But it also has a traditional score that if you listen to it, just when it creeps through every now and then, and it's very rare, it is kind of neat. It's a weird off-kilter score. Apparently it was composed by just twisting the pitches of rocks and twigs and shit snapping. So it's very weird. And I do like it. There's like a scene in the beginning where Tristan goes down to the river and kind of drowns the baby or the bloody whatever that moment is, you know,
the
in
like
the movie.
fetus.
The fetus, yeah,
moment.
But it's more like metaphorical, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what's happening there, but anyways, in that scene, there's the Blair Witch 2, you know, the Book of Shadows score playing. But I mean, most of the time, it's you know, Queens of the Stone Age or I don't know, late 90s Nickelback or something.
Yeah,
I feel like that could be like really a tagline for the whole movie, just like it's metaphorical or something.
Yeah, that's good.
The whole, you know, I do like the as I said, I like the van, the beginning stuff, but, you know, with the studio meddling that we can get into later, like, so much of that intro stuff is, like, so bizarre because you have no idea what's going on. Like, you're seeing these crazy cuts of like an asylum and like people getting procedures, and then it's like cutting into other stuff. Like,
yeah, that stuff in my opinion is terrible. Like it's so
terrible,
confusing.
but it's confusing, terrible, but yet gave me nostalgia where I was like, we used to make stuff in the 2000s. we used to make these real bold choices.
Well, yes, there's definitely bold choices, and maybe those choices, even in some of the other movies I can think of, maybe it is studio meddling of the time. That it's like, oh, we revered in this other movie, but hated in Book of Shadows. But when I was watching it was so of the time that it reminded me of something like Saw, which used this editing to great effect a couple years later. And obviously the twist at the end of Saw, everybody loves, and how it all plays out. And, you know, it's kind of told, once again, frenetic, weird editing, crossfading, all like disorienting, shaky camera and shit with really loud sound effects to kind of let you know that this editing's happening. But here in this movie, we're like, what is happening here? Like, it's so confusing where you're watching the opening of the movie and then Jeff is there and he's like doing Blair Witch tours and his, you know, he looks completely different. And then he mentions he was in an asylum a year before. And then we're with him on a journey to actually give a tour, and it's a different time again. The like chronology of this movie, Blair Witch is already a little bit confusing because they're reviewing lost footage from 1994, making it into a movie in 1999. Now this movie, the characters are knowledgeable of that movie in 1999, but you add the layer of it was enough time passed that it was popular to kind of build a cottage industry around it. But then also he was in an asylum, and also he's being questioned later. There's this weird time shit that makes this movie, I don't think more fascinating. I think it makes it like needlessly confusing. I don't even know if the time frames work in the
I don't
movie
think it does.
I don't know.
At all, by the way. Well, and even like a lot of the asylum stuff, like we're never given any, like, what really any of that means, any resolution to that, because they never wrap that up. It's just kind of cuts in the movie.
It's a way to make him an unreliable narrator /
I was
going
gonna
to say sketchier than
what
we're shown in the movie, because he just seems like a normal dude, right? Other than having like, I was in an asylum some time ago, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, just the timeline just doesn't make sense. It's
a mess,
it's a complete and utter mess.
Okay, so when I first watched this, but speaking of the messy timeline and like, you know, the asylum and stuff, when it was sort of like closing in on the end and they were kind of revealing to everybody their hands in what happened and how things were different from their perception, I fully thought we were going to circle back to him being in an asylum again and everything was like
in his head?
Hallucination,
yeah.
Which is spoiler alert for my thoughts on Hokum, what I thought was happening in that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't take that just because I didn't think this movie was well crafted enough for that, and that would have felt like a twist after a twist, which, I mean, once again, this is the sort of movie that it's like, it wouldn't have surprised me. I just didn't really think it had kind of the foresight or the artistry to kind of make that all work. It felt like we were watching the twist as it was happening. Now, when it was happening, did I fully understand if 3 of them were bewitched and lost their minds, or if Tristan was actually a witch and cursed them, or whatever exactly was happening? I didn't really piece all that together until I thought about the video never lies, film does lie line earlier in the movie. That's kind of like the whole thesis for this. And I was like, oh, okay, no, it's like all 3 of them were insane, lost their mind, bewitched, whatever you want to call it, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the way it more seems to be leaning at the end of that. Outside of the timeline, one thing, like, once again, I mentioned that the movie stylistically is obviously a huge diversion from the found footage style of the first movie. But what I think is crazy about it is it's almost like an inversion completely of the original Blair Witch, where they spend like 15 minutes in town outside of the woods, getting to know the town folk and stuff, and then they move to the woods, and the rest of the movie's firmly just in the woods, kind of losing their minds. They spend basically 15 minutes in the woods. A lot of it is just kind of drinking and eventually coming across kind of this other group of fans that are out in the woods that are clearly like a global audience, more so like a more eclectic group, like not North Americans. Yeah. And then it's like,
also
we're just
vaguely racist.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But anyway.
And then the movie, the whole rest of it is like, oh, let's go to my house that is also like actually an old factory warehouse that I got for a great deal, and it makes no sense
$1
that I would be living here. Oh, is that's what it says?
Yes, he says I offered them $1 for it because they were going to tear it down.
It's a fantastic loft.
But honestly, like, I forgot how much I loved it, because I think that was the thing I loved most about it when I was watching it the first time. I remember going like, oh my god, I want to live in a fucking warehouse when I'm like moved out and on my own.
It's just crazy that
place would be so fucking cold. Like,
oh, absolutely. I mean, it would cost you well more than $1 to heat that place to actually make it livable. But yeah, for me, it was just spending 15 minutes in the woods in this movie, and then all the rest in just a shitty like warehouse, I guess. Yeah. Just sitting around, mostly looking at footage every now and then.
But to be fair, they were watching footage of the woods over and over and over.
You were, but a lot of it wasn't like the first person actually like felt like Blair Witch. It was just watching the couple of tripods set up and then them scrubbing
it's like watching
through
security
the same footage over and over again. Yeah, exactly.
Which they do end up also watching.
Yeah, closer to like the Paranormal Activity style, but not even quite as like firmly in that sort of world that a Paranormal Activity is.
No, because it's still got that remove where the framing story is shot like a studio movie.
Exactly, right?
Actual
you gotta
camera
show
and
the
film,
studio movie, which Rowan like hinted at a couple times, obviously, of the studio meddling, and once again, we will get to it, but this guy, like, he was chosen to make this movie because of his documentary style filmmaking, that they believed he'd be a good fit to make this feel really realistic, like a documentary, a mockumentary that we know it. And he's just like, nah, I'm going to make a traditional studio movie for the most part, that I think is like kind of insane. Like that you were being chosen for a very specific skill set that obviously I would assume he's quite good at, judging by the rest of his career. But like that he specifically chose to go so hard against what the original Blair Witch Project was.
Yeah.
I mean, a big swing, an interesting direction. I don't know if it all paid off, but, you know, kind of a wild thing to do.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying about, like, just kind of the themes I think he, like, is trying to get at and the threads he's trying to pull, or where...
Well, what specific themes are you talking about? Are you talking about the video and the film aspect, or something deeper there?
Yeah, so, like, to me, kind of what I had jotted down was, you know, I think there's some very interesting, you know, early commentary of, like, kind of, like, true crime type obsession stuff going on here, because obviously, like we said, this guy...
Oh, for sure, yeah.
This guy, having done Paradise Lost, like, way before this, like, that was a huge documentary. They made tons of documentary spin-offs about it and A&E shows, but, like, not only stuff about that, but then just kind of like, I also thought it was an interesting commentary because it's in the time that it's happening very early of, like, just like internet hysteria and just like viral things on the internet where, you know, I'm thinking like
E-Bombs world.
Yeah, but and it's like, it's just very interesting making these, you know, and to me it's almost like pretentious ideas he was bringing to it as like this awarded documentary maker being like, oh, I'm going to bring these kind of high concept ideas into the Blair Witch Project too. And it just like, it doesn't really work out necessarily. Like, I think maybe the meddling, but like just overall how this turned out, I think, you know, it's not that. It's like this like pretty crummy, you know, it's like this cheesy 2000s sequel. That it's like, you know, those ideas, even though they're fun, and I think a lot of the internet hysteria stuff of like, because they do confront in this, right? Like, is the Blair Witch real, or is it just everybody's like obsessed with the Blair Witch and group hallucinations and hysteria?
Yes. Mass hysteria.
Yeah.
I mean, the five main characters are very much picked for this reason, right? I think he's on the record saying that he chose Jeff as someone who's very financially motivated to profit off the Blair Witch. Steven and Tristan are more of like the scholars, the skeptics who are interrogating if any of this was even real or if it's all a hoax, or, you know, is it based
but also
in
just coming from someone who was formerly in an academic background, I found their characters interesting because that's like kind of the surface aspect, but when you look at it, you also know that they're jumping on this because they want to be the first people to publish on this. That's why they're so upset when their research gets demolished, right? They're like, oh my God, let's get on this fucking trend before it hits the big time, and we'll be the first people.
True. So I mean,
and we're going to get all the citations.
There's still a profiting aspect to it from them, but
exactly,
probably not just the purely
like, but
financial.
just in a different manner.
Yeah, in a different way.
Like,
and then it's like Kim is like what they view as like the horror fan that makes something like this their identity. It's also like a trope of the time to have like the goth girl. And then Erica is based around, apparently there was Wiccan people, witchy folk at the time that were really upset about how they did a poor job portraying
Erica's
actual
the
witchcraft in the movie.
girl, isn't it? Is it Erica?
No, Erica.
No, that's Kim. Erica's
Kim
the
is
Wiccan.
the goth girl.
Okay,
Erica is the Wiccan. Yeah.
I don't know.
Erica's the one that they clearly were like, she is fine with being topless. Everyone else,
they're
not
like,
so much.
Let's show her tits.
Yeah,
she's hot.
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
But yeah, like in making the movie, it was clearly like he wanted a bunch of people that were fascinated with the Blair Witch Project and the Blair Witch mythology to approach from different directions. And I think in a better movie, you would probably have these competing ideologies a little bit more throughout the movie, really interrogating that. I just don't think that's what we really got. You got a lot of them kind of being drunk and unruly, and then it cuts ahead, and then basically they're just like, what happened to our footage? We lost time. Let's sit around and look at this. And then also these weird people died in the woods. which is the other group that just showed up.
I thought it was interesting because Jeff brings up a couple times, like some of them, like, oh, they emailed me once and we set this up or whatever. Just a real gracious tour guide. I'm thinking, like, you're having these people that emailed you once about coming on the tour, and now they're just hanging out in your apartment. He's also just like, hey, get me coffee. I'm thinking,
I love that.
If I'm paying you, I'm not just hanging around your house to get you coffee and eat your old KFC. That's
the 2000s. Go make me a sandwich. Is what that is. Just a little bit of casual
that was
misogyny.
Something awful forums.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like that was way before 4chan.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the other group is kind of like the foreign Warios of them, because they're also outsiders because they're not from Burkittsville, but like they see themselves as having more of a right to be there because these other people are outsiders who are international, and they're very much like their outsiderness and their foreignness is very much highlighted to a problematic extent. A lot, you can argue.
Yeah,
I think it's just so funny that that sets it up so that they're like, oh, we're not really outsiders. They're outsiders.
Yeah,
and so they're the ones who get killed.
Yeah, they do all the othering there, but also I think with the filmmakers, they were trying to show that the Blair Witch Project's success wasn't just an American success. It was like a global sensation sort of thing, I think is what they were going for, especially, with the German subtitles and stuff like that, which I was like, subtitles and Blair Witch too? All right, I got kind of surprised a little bit. But yeah, it's, once again, there's interesting ideas here. It's just like execution dependent. I don't think they really nailed any of it. Speaking of which, the scares in this movie, I think there's not even a whole lot of attempts at scares. I don't think. You got a really quick one early on when they go into the woods where it's like someone's skull getting bashed in. It's like a very quick gore moment. But then I think the next time something happens is like the weird backwards walking ghost little girl in the hospital or whatever is happening there. That I saw it and I admired how long they held on it and how much they believed that this was like the scariest thing ever. But I wonder if in 2000, if people would have even felt that this was scary. Like the same people that thought Blair Witch 1 was scary, and then you go watch this, like would have that like truly creeped them out? Because I thought it was like one of the goofiest looking effects I've seen in quite some time.
I feel like they saw Pulse and...
Was Pulse before? Was Pulse before this?
Pulse was like around the same time, wasn't it? I thought it was 2000, or was it 97?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, I know we just covered it a couple months ago. For whatever reason, I thought that maybe that was like 2001, 2002, but I could be wrong.
It might be. Maybe. Oh my God. Maybe did Pulse rip off Book of Shadows?
Pulse was after 2001.
Oh my God. I thought it was 2000. I thought it was like right contemporary to it.
Pulse saw this effect and they were like, you know what? We can actually make this scary. It doesn't have to be like this little woman
or show you Americans how to do it.
This little kid kind of gyrating and spinning around, and very strange effect.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like the scares just aren't really there. Like there's never like any dread overly building, and it's pretty late into the movie till they even start the thread of like, oh my God, we have these like Blair Witch symbols that are like on us now.
On our skin. They reveal that I think Kim has a rash or some sort of mark on her neck, and then it's kind of ignored for a little bit, and then everybody has 3 or 4 of them all over their skin.
And they're all just like, yeah, we have this. Oh, that's just like a little scratch.
Chill.
Like it's a fucking rune, you idiots. Like
let's not put any like polysporin or something on that. Let's keep an eye on it. That's fine.
Also, the fact that you're sleeping on like a fucking parasite infested mattress on this warehouse floor, like
very sanitary.
How did you feel about the whole, like there's also the I enjoyed there's just like a real, I was gonna say, there's like this storyline going on that of like abortion, like anti-abortion and pro-abortion going on, that I just thought was like wild to cram in the middle of everything else that's already chaotically.
Are you talking about the miscarriage scene, or was there more discussions of that?
Well, the miscarriage, but like, you know, Steven's like having these conversations with Tristan, because she talks about with some of the other girls, right? Like, oh, like Steven
well,
wants
yeah, because
me to
Kim
keep
is supposed
it.
to be psychic, which they hint at multiple times in the first 15 minutes and then literally never mention again.
Yeah.
She knows where the tapes are, which, I mean, of course, obviously, because she experienced it. But, like, she knows these things, and they say she's psychic, and she knows that she's pregnant and, you know, knows all this stuff about her. And then conveniently, she does not utilize these psychic abilities for the rest of the movie.
I mean, let's just say it. She's about as good of a psychic as the psychic at the White House press dinner. But realistically,
Rowan.
Like I said, because she talks to the girls and says, like, when she's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to keep the kid when Kim says you're pregnant, and she's like, but Steven wants me to keep it. He doesn't want me to get rid of it. And I was just like, this is crazy. We're inserting all this stuff into.
And she has that fucking dream of putting her aborted fetus in the water and the bubbling of the blood and stuff like that. That was a really vivid image. I was like, holy fuck, I did not remember this. And I remember when I was rewatching it this time, I was like, Jesus, like we're going to play with this. This movie like might actually like bump up a couple stars. And then it sort of like got lost in the
it goes nowhere. Yeah.
Shuffle.
In full respect too, they only show like the baby hand, and it's like the most wax doll baby hand of all time with like a little bit of blood.
Let's just say it was Renesmee under the water.
Yeah, I just thought that was absolutely bonkers, just randomly in this, just because there was so much going on, and I felt like there was so much of this stuff where there was so much you could do with each of the characters, and they kind of have the seeds, but it's like the hysteria thing's already like taking up so much time, they can't really explore anything else.
Yeah, they were really fascinated with this idea of just everyone losing their minds, and then also just trying to insert a bunch of symbology or hidden messages and that sort of shit throughout the movie that I don't think really paid off to any like layman viewer without watching videos about it after the fact. They were more concerned with making the movie more interesting on repeat viewings or having people search over certain scenes, almost like an I Spy book, than they were just making a movie that works in a traditional manner in some regards. So
I mean, I feel like that was definitely a like casualty of it blowing up on like home video and stuff too.
Yeah.
And there was such a focus on actual like videotapes and stuff. And I just feel like they were trying to tie it all together and be like, oh my God, we know you're going to rent this on VHS or DVD. Cause I feel like DVDs were out at the time. And
I felt like Sheriff Craven's also kind of underused. I kind of liked him as a character.
Of course you did.
Really?
Yeah. I thought he was real like shitty.
He had a crazy accent.
Oh, it's nuts. I think that actor's like Norwegian or something.
Okay.
So that would explain the crazy, like, fake Southern accent. But I don't know. There's something about him I like that I was like, this is direct to DVD, just like horror movie sheriff, and I'm all here for him.
How'd you guys feel about the rest of our cast of actors? You mentioned the sheriff, but one thing we talked about quite a bit in the original movie was just these very naturalistic, believable performances. You know, not really a false note at any point in the movie. How did you feel about these five? Did you think they were great? Did you take what they were giving at face value?
I have thoughts. Okay. Jeff was hot.
Okay. I think he's gone on to have a very successful career as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I was like, he was a fine actor. Tristan and Steven were both awful actors.
Yeah, Steven.
And the characters were awful.
I think Steven is terrible, like really hard to watch. That sequence that we mentioned where they lost like the papers and lost the tapes and all the cameras are damaged. Holy shit, his line delivery of his lines there, it feels like he's reading it off a cue card, like really bad.
And I mean, listen, and part of it with her was also that she was not given much to work with because for most of the movie she's just like the fucking beleaguered like straight woman. So
exactly.
However, I want to queen out so badly with Erica and Kim. They are my girls. They were the two things that I remembered from seeing it in 2000 was the goth chick and the redheaded chick and how much I loved them. And rewatching it, I was like, there's a reason why I remembered them, because they were actually like charismatic. At first, Kim seems like your standard goth chick, but like she's got a few acting chops. Like she had a bit of charisma and a bit of, talent.
Yeah.
And like, is she going to win an award? No, but like for a goth chick in the Blair Witch 2, I think you could do a lot worse.
There's a reason Colton's going to remember them both also.
That's what I was going to say. They were both obviously cast first for eye candy, definitely. And I mean, especially just Erica, once again, the actor, the director, just having her topless for like, probably 25% of this movie,
I mean, we're all Jeff when they're watching the video and he's like, that's a naked woman. And we're like,
whoa!
It sure is.
Starts rewinding it back and forth. And I'm like, all right, but bro, let's chill out a little bit here.
Yeah.
Or when you get to see the actual footage and Erica is just completely nude with just a tastefully placed skull in her
the skull? I know. Yeah. I was like, okay, girl.
To obscure stuff. I was like, all right, they're going there.
Are we getting into some like necromantic territory here?
But I did think performance-wise, both of them I thought were okay as well, or at least fine. Yeah. I will say Kim gets really fierce and gets this look in her eye a couple of times that now I see it with Erica Kirk in crazy like right-wing memes and shit.
Oh my God, hilarious.
She has that like crazy fiery look in her eye that obviously
crazy white woman.
Yeah, she has that look. So she nails it in the movie. It was a little bit scary for me for different reasons as I was watching.
Was she ahead of her time? Did she like predict crazy right-wing white women?
Was she ahead of her time, or was she like the Big 8 version of Fairuza Balk? I feel like they just couldn't afford.
How dare you?
I mean, I like Kim, but I like Kim because I was like, oh yeah, like quite clearly we can't afford Fairuza Balk. She gives like the same kind of looks. Her eyes are very similar, like goth girl. Like, I mean, she was like the go-to goth girl. I was like, this is literally styled like every Fairuza Balk character ever. Also, has any of us brought up the fact that all these actors, it's just their actual names in this movie, like Tristan, Erica, Kim?
I was going to say that, yeah.
But that was the same with the first one as
well.
They
did that in the first one, that's why.
Yeah,
is that why?
That's 100% the reason.
Because even though by 2000 you the jig was up in terms of is it real or is it just marketing? Mm-hmm. But I think they were still leaning into that to be like, oh come on, like here you go, it's us, your old friend Blair Witch, we're real,
Yeah. So what they did was apparently there was a big fight behind the scenes after the movie was already edited that they didn't want to repeat the past mistakes and have all the actors be called their actual names. So what they did was, in the lore, they changed everyone's last name. But I don't think anyone in the movie is referred to by their last name.
They don't use any of their last names.
Unlike the first movie. Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Yes, because Heather changed her name in real life because she wanted to distance herself. Yeah.
And like they are called by like their last names at certain points in the movies, especially like when they're getting to know each other and joining the crew and all that, right?
Yeah.
On like the film slates and stuff like that in the original Blair Witch. This one, it's never really addressed. But yes, they're all using their same names. Their first names, their real names again.
Do we want to get into like the videotape, the revealings of the videotape, the event horizon of it all?
I want to mention the dog scene first, just because I was dying laughing that they went in and they set up this stupid idea of him having a dog alarm instead of a real alarm because they were like, oh well, no one will break in because they'll be afraid of getting eaten alive by dogs. And then later in the movie, they set up a bunch of dogs on the other side of the bridge, but then the bridge breaks, and holy shit, I was dying laughing at Steven dangling from this bridge. Hanging on for dear life. And
that's when it gets super weird, right? Because is the bridge broken? Is the bridge not broken?
Yeah, the bridge is not broken anymore. It's just, what a scene. Just beautiful filmmaking.
I will say, I did have, as we're going through that hysteria, that was one of my other real problems, was like, I didn't think there was a good enough delineage of like what, by the end of this, I should know like what part was real, what part wasn't real, I guess.
Well, I think that's where they're trying to get too cute with it.
Yeah.
Where there are some people that read this movie as one way or the other, despite, that one throwaway line earlier in. But even when you're looking at it through the lens of reviewing the footage, there are sections in which yes, of course, they're reviewing found footage and they're showing the found footage and it's something different than what we've realized. But there's also like a camera recording the reactions and stuff like that as well. And it winds up being like, well, sometimes they'll put someone in the scene that's holding a video camera, which explains this specific angle. But sometimes it is just genuine film camera angles that they would never have access to review and kind of figure out, like the police. So I don't know. There's a lot of weird hand waving to kind of make this big twist work, I think.
Obviously, you have the big reveal of the tape, and let's be realistic. All these guys, they were embarrassed. They got their freak on, and that's really what happened. They were just embarrassed. Everybody got.
Are you talking about actually out in the woods where they got their freak on and then murdered
everyone?
Everybody,
always regrets the drunken orgy the next day.
The drunken orgy that leads to murder, and then probably more orgy sex going on.
I am glad that that's what it was revealed to be in the end, though, because in my recollection, they were really butchering the coffin rock mythology that was established in the first movie, where I was like, I don't remember them all being disemboweled and heads cut off and arranged in a pentagram. I think it was just suggested they were all made into like a human chain, almost like a human centipede, vanished. Yeah, exactly, right? It wasn't like satanic in nature. So I'm glad that it just wound up being like, oh, these kids bewitched or possessed or just gone crazy, killing the people out in the woods. I was like, oh, okay, well, at least that explains that issue for me of basically being super disrespectful to the mythology from a movie like 9 months earlier.
I like the videotape. I'm not gonna lie, it was just so 2000s. Like,
I did 2000s. Too. Honestly, I was like, I do miss this. Okay, listen,
Skulls,
we hate it.
Blood,
you
kitties.
hate it, but yeah, exactly. That fucking frenetically edited bullshit. But I was like, oof, I could just eat it up because it's so of 2000. And it made me feel like, I was just like, again, the temporal whiplash. I was like back in 2000 again. It was just comforting. It was a comforting or murderous orgy video.
Yeah, I think if someone used all that editing style in 2026 in a movie, we would all be allergic to it. But for some reason, in this 2000 movie that, is widely regarded not to be all that great, there is something, I guess, a little bit comforting about it. Like, oh, it's doing this. I've seen this before. Yeah. I've seen this dozens of times in these mean-spirited, kind of bloody 2000s movies. And all of it was added in post, by the way. It was all added after
shot
the
in his
fact.
backyard.
And filmed in the guy's backyard. Yeah.
Because he didn't want to do it. He just hated it. So, I mean, why don't we, fully talk about that before we, get into... Because obviously, the very contentious filming of this. So, he's been very vocal that he's saying they brutalized my vision for this and the story. And, like Colton brought up, Frank Sinatra, was supposed to be playing. The studio's like, nope, you need some metal music, bud.
Yeah, from what I understand is he was basically given the writing assignment to make a movie something like 5 weeks before it would have had to go into production, and it had to be turned around within a 10-month period. They presented him with 3 scripts. All 3 were essentially just Blair Witch Project again, found footage, people getting lost in the woods. He didn't want to do that. He wrote this movie that was the idea of people in kind of the aftermath of Blair Witch going out, interrogating the mythology, going back home, having lost time, and then basically losing their minds throughout the course of the movie. There was no frame narrative of someone in an asylum. There was no interrogation cut-ins or anything like that. Everything like that was preserved to be right at the end of the movie in this big twist. So they didn't murder the other tour group. There was actually very little blood and gore in the movie. And yeah, as we mentioned, absolutely no early 2000s music. It was basically supposed to be playful, airy, and light in the beginning, like a complete tonal, contrast to the original Blair Witch, and then very slowly over the course of the movie it was supposed to be more psychological, that they're losing their minds and, basically scapegoating this one girl. Essentially was more or less the whole plot of the movie from what I understood.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was the only time in the whole movie that she had any depth or was interesting to me at all.
When Tristan
and then I'm
was
like, oh, so you're even going to take that away from her? I was like, when I thought she was the fucking Blair Witch.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you just redeemed yourself. And then I'm like, oh, wait, never mind. You're still just this boring blonde girl.
Well, I kind of liked some of that, too, because it seemed to be at least hinted at. Like, for example, when they were reviewing the footage, she stood backwards, very much almost like stood in the corner, not watching the footage. Or
yes, yeah. Oh, 100%. They were, like, mimicking.
Yeah. They perceive her
scenes
as speaking all backwards, and, it's like witchy stuff backwards. And, I liked a lot of that as well. I thought it was interesting, at least. But yeah, from what you're talking about, Rowan, it seems like the movie was basically completely ripped from his hands, and he was forced to add in a bunch of blood and gore, and then they completely re-edited the flow of the movie. He wanted to be just told, like, from beginning to end, like, everything left for the end, where would have got rid of like this weird confusion, tonal whiplash of, okay, they're here, but then they're back to the woods, and he was in an asylum, and then they're also getting interrogated throughout the movie. It's a very strange structure to watch this movie without any knowledge.
I can't wait for us to get the email so we can give the bonus content for the Arrow Special Edition 4K Director's Cut with our commentary tracks on it.
Yeah, I mean, apparently there is like edited Director's Cut version of this. It's just not readily available. Like when I was doing some research and trying to find behind the scenes videos of this to kind of just speak more about it, I got some different video essays, and there was one person that said that they had watched the actual director's cut version of the movie, just obviously on like a pirate site or something, and they said it was a lot better, but they were also favorable on the movie anyway, so I'm not really sure if it's a reliable source or not.
Very much so like the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you gagged him.
We're not to the ending yet, but I just, since I mentioned some of this like hidden symbology, hidden languages in the movie, are you guys at all familiar with The Secret of Esrever and some of the stuff they put right in plain sight in this movie? No?
No,
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah, so The Secret of Esrever obviously is reverse backwards, Esrever. And when this movie came out on DVD and VHS, after you were watching the movie, it explained that there was a bunch of hidden messages in the movie and like this coded message. And you had to rewind the movie in the beginning and it would spell out basically a bunch of words of different scenes in the movie. It would say like, tomb, mirror, seance, whatever. And you'd have to go back to those scenes in the movie and look for hidden messages. And as I was just watching it, I noticed some weird shit. I didn't like ever get close to spelling out anything because there is like a full phrase that the movie spells out. But I noticed like, there's like a weird 6 in the background through this mirror. Or sorry, not in the mirror, through the windows. Like it's just very clearly in the trees like a 6. I'm like, are they doing like a 666 thing in Blair Witch? But in the same scene I noticed the 6, there's a no written in, like someone clearly wrote no like in the window up in the right hand corner. Or when Erica's sitting on the floor and she's doing like her witchy sayings, and she has kind of like the candles lit around her and stuff, the design on the carpet changes from its wavy form to spell or. And I noticed these couple of things when I was watching the movie, and I was like, what on earth is this movie doing? There's also one right at the beginning of the movie where we are introduced to Kim, where there's a prominent placement of a tombstone that says treacle on it. Mm-hmm. And that changes to further for like one shot. So there's a bunch of weird editing that they change names and change stuff. There's like hidden faces. There's hidden stickman figures throughout. A bunch of nonsense in my opinion, but it was a way to try and get people to rewatch the movie with like this in mind, to look for like the hidden symbology. And if you go through it all, it says, seek me no further or, and then you'd have to go to the website and you would type in seek me no further or, and you'd get the full thing, which is seek me no further or the children will again walk free. So there is like a hidden phrase, and it's like kind of this threat that if you keep looking into this, that basically these dead children are going to come get you, like these witch children. So
you're just trying to get us to rate this movie even higher. That's what you're trying to do.
No, I'm truly not. I don't know if that makes the movie better. But what I will say is you can go watch, at least like a 6 to 10 minute video on YouTube, and you'll see all these weird things. Like there's stuff, do you guys remember The Lion King where there was this idea of when they jump in the flowers stars and it goes up and it spells sex in the stars. You know,
oh,
like,
yeah.
You know, there is literally...
Oh my God, yes, that whole era. There was like 2 or 3 years where people were finding naughty things in Disney movies.
So there's a scene in this movie where basically the flames are going in front of their faces. If you pause it at a key moment, it says seek just spelt out like completely. Like once again, these things were all added with like visual effects and stuff at the time. I don't know why. I don't think it helps the movie at all. I think it's kind of like a waste of time and money, and it doesn't really do anything. But it is interesting that there's this coded language. You know, seek me no further, or the children will again walk free. You know, I don't know. Strange shit.
The internet was wild in 2000, man.
Yeah. And they kept it up for like 8 years or something. I think they only took that Secret of Esrever down in 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, R.I.P. Someone's going to bring it back. So, are you guys comfortable going in the rating this, or?
Well, we didn't discuss the ending specifics, but it doesn't really matter.
No, let's talk a little bit about the ending.
Well, for me, I don't know if it really did anything. It really impacted my opinion of the movie much. Obviously, we wind up seeing a bunch of different scenes in the movie from security footage, and it's like, you know, Kim murdered a convenience store clerk.
Yeah.
Or it's very clear that Steven like hanged his wife, or, you know, these sorts of things. You know, they point out a lot of security cam footage throughout the movie. And I thought it was interesting. Like, it adds an extra wrinkle to the movie. And for a second, you don't know if, like, oh, you know, was Tristan bewitched? Were they all bewitched? Is it, like, mass delusion? But, like, once again, it's just this extra layer of complication to the movie that I just don't think it's well-handed enough. And I think that he wanted it to be somewhat ambiguous, but then the producers didn't want it to be as ambiguous. And there's a bit of a swing and a miss.
There's definitely, like, conflicting motives for it.
Yeah.
That never pan out, because as soon as you think we're about to like maybe take this in a direction where we start to figure things out, oh, here comes Poe and the credits, and it's like, oh, okay, the movie's over.
It's over. Yeah.
I actually was very shocked because I did not remember exactly when the movie ended, and I thought there was like another 5 or 6 minutes to it, and I was like, oh, cool.
That's it.
I don't remember it being this abrupt, but I guess that's where we are.
Yeah, I kind of felt I was kind of indifferent to it. I just thought, to me, it kind of cheapens it all to me, because I get one of the things of being edgy doing the second one is like, oh, you know, like maybe it is mass hysteria or like whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I would have rather like the mystique of it all kind of still being there. So I guess there's like some semblance of, you know, witchcraft, stuff like that. Like, just to me, I was like, okay, so if it's on security cam footage, they did this stuff, like, you know, I guess they're just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could have been mass delusion. I interpreted it as like they were bewitched. I guess like they were bewitched. This is how I interpreted it. Maybe it's just crazy, but it's like, I think everybody in the movie was touched by the witch. I think Tristan was possibly spared because maybe her fetus or whatever was touched by the witch, that she has that sudden miscarriage. So I felt like everyone else in the movie was touched and she was fine, but then just hanged by kind of the mass delusion of the rest of them, or the bewitching. Yeah. But do we
That's kind of where I landed with it too, yeah.
Yeah. Do we ever figure out with Erica, like what the specifics for that work? She was standing in the corner in the closet, very clearly dead. Like, did we get an explanation as to what happened to her?
They just wanted to do an homage to the first one. That's all. I know.
I feel like I feel like there was something cut out there.
Okay.
When I was watching it this time, I was like, there's almost certainly probably 30 or so seconds that somehow maybe got chopped out. But also, can we talk about the fucking beautiful butt shot in that scene?
Yeah.
We almost get a turnaround and get some dong, but we got a nice butt shot, so it was almost equal opportunity.
Almost, yeah. And then the one last thing I want to say is specifically about this ending. Do you think they're being earnest or tongue-in-cheek about when they frame all of this as like 3 film fans who were inspired by violent art? Because obviously violent art inspires violence.
Yeah.
This was a really big thing in the early 2000s where obviously, you know, video games and whatnot, but also obviously horror movies, that they were portrayed in the media as oftentimes being blamed for, you know, mass killings, school shootings, murder. I hope.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, this was right after Columbine.
Yeah, exactly. So I would hope someone like Joe Berlinger wasn't trying to say that horror fans are actually killers themselves.
I found it very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I also
that's the way
found
I took
it
as
very
well.
tongue-in-cheek because especially with the Memphis 3 and the Subjects pair, like that was the whole thing with them, right? Oh, they're like goth kids. They listen to Marilyn Manson and violent video games and all that. Yeah, it's just wild. I keep thinking about it. Can you imagine kids nowadays? Like, they play Doom. They're fucked up. Yeah. Just wild.
I actually watched Bowling for Columbine in the past 2 weeks.
Oh,
too,
nice.
Oh, yes, I saw you log that. I was going to message you about it.
Yeah, I was like, we won't get into it. I did a school shooting double feature because I watched The Dirties and then felt like... I felt like I just didn't understand that time period fully, and they kept referencing Columbine. I was young when it happened, so I was looking for a documentary that would explain the specifics, and obviously that is not what that movie is. Still was a good watch, though. Still a good watch.
Movie, yeah.
Still a good watch, and what was sobering about it is basically everything discussed in the movie is still a very relevant, huge issue in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
it's actually somehow even worse.
Yeah, crazy.
Because
right?
I'm like, okay, so I was obviously like alive and kicking and
You're
very
like 30,
aware of when Columbine. I remember when Columbine happened, and I remember seeing Bowling for Columbine in theaters.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember I bought the DVD of it like when it came out because I was like, oh, this is so powerful. And I remember 5 or 6 years later, I think I gave the DVD away. I was like, this movie is going to age like fucking milk in the sun. Like, that was so of its time. Little did I know that it was somehow going to be even more relevant as the decades moved on.
Yeah,
it's almost embarrassing for me.
I don't know. Feel free to cut some of it out, Rowan. But it was. I loved how essentially he dismantled every single argument about gun violence in the United States and would show it to people and be like, essentially, like, oh, you're blaming it on divorce. What about the UK? Oh, you're blaming it on the media. What about Canada? Oh, you're blaming it on no God in schools. What about all these other countries that used to have prayer in schools? And nobody that he's discussing could really put it together and be like, oh, it's the Second Amendment or how many fucking guns we have in the United States.
Yeah.
You know, that it's like a cultural cancer. I thought it was really interesting about how his interview style essentially lays everything out and gives them one answer. And basically, like, if you don't answer this, you're an idiot. And every single one of them finds some way to be an idiot. And
an idiot, yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen any Michael Moore documentaries. I've seen people say he's a polarizing figure. I don't know if it's because he's a lefty or if he's had some really bad takes, or I have no idea. I'm just saying Bowling for Columbine as someone who was, 7 years old when that
I think he
happened.
became more problematic as time came, just with some of his tactics and stuff.
Is that what it is?
Okay. I was going to say
left kind of disowned him after a while.
Okay, well.
I saw most of his like popular movies.
Yeah,
like
he
had a lot of stuff come out in theaters in those few years, like Fahrenheit 9/11 and stuff.
Yeah,
and they were extremely popular, and they became like pop culture phenomena.
Yeah,
and I think that there was like a move where people were moving away from it and found it really cringy.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know that he did anything particularly problematic. I think that people found his style and tactics aged poorly and became cringy and wanted to move away from that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like gotcha journalism, and a lot of it is like,
exactly.
It's very much making the person you're interviewing look like an idiot. I guess for me, just with around gun control in the United States, and specifically, like, once again, when there's obviously all these school shootings happening, I was basically like, yes, absolutely make Charlton Heston, the president of the NRA at the time, look like an idiot. You know, he should look like an idiot for what he's saying.
Because he is an idiot.
Exactly, right? So yeah, some of those attack journalistic tactics, I guess I was fine with. I've only seen that one movie, so I don't know. Maybe there's some other ones that it's worse. But yeah, he's definitely like arrogant and very, in my opinion, feels emboldened to say whatever the fuck he wants because he knows that he has a gotcha on the person he's interviewing. It's kind of like a stacked deck already. But yeah, I mean, great movie. Good watch.
So with that, let's land the plane. I'm sure people will look at this and they're going to be like, not only did they make us listen to a podcast episode about the first Blair Witch Project that was longer than the Blair Witch Project, but we must have now a world record when you're listening to this for the longest Blair Witch 2 podcast episode. So, we'll hold that.
And we didn't
badge.
even mention that there's no Book of Shadows in Blair Witch 2. Book of Shadows.
Yeah. It's not even Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows. It's Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. It's
exactly.
Literally gets top billing over Blair Witch.
Yeah, and it doesn't exist. Anyways.
So if you're new to the podcast, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, and slay. Colton, this was your pick, so why don't you tell us your rating for Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2?
Listen, it's my pick, and I had a fun time discussing it on the show. We made a little bit more of a meal out of it than I expected. But, I mean, I can't say this is a good movie. It's a nay from me. Don't get me wrong. It's obviously of the time, and it's endearing for some reasons of the time. I do think, obviously, Kim and Erica, great eye candy on screen. They actually do fine with what they're given as well. It's just, I think this movie is pretty much a complete mess, especially in the shadow of the original Blair Witch Project. I understand he probably tried to do the best with what he was given, and then it was completely messed up after the fact by the producers in the studio. But it's, as a found footage fan, it's not a found footage movie. There's not much horror in here. The performances themselves are not really naturalistic. The whole style is completely different and not really what I look forward to unless it's like a Gothica or something like that. So yeah, they describe this movie as wanting to be Audition meets Jacob's Ladder, and I think you should probably go watch Audition or Jacob's Ladder instead of Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. So I'm going to land on a nay. I don't hate it. It's not like, it's not like I hated watching it. I'm glad I've seen it. It's just I cannot in good faith give it a positive review. That's all. Mike, I feel like you enjoyed it a little bit as well, but where are you landing on this one?
You're right. I did enjoy it a little bit. I'm going to give it honestly, a solid okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so there was a few times on the rewatch. In my memory, all I remembered was the twist, and I was like, okay, the twist was cool, but I don't remember the rest of the movie, so it was obviously atrocious, because all I remember is the twist and then Haunted by Poe playing at the end. And when I was rewatching it, I was like, as I was watching it, I was like, I enjoy this more than I thought I was going to, or more than I remembered it. Mm-hmm. There was, however, definitely parts, obviously, where I was like, oof, okay, I don't know about this. None of this makes sense. And there was a couple moments, and I don't know if it's because there was a lot of commercials in it because of the fucking CTV shit, but it definitely, it felt like it was 2 hours long, and it was only 95 or something.
Yeah.
So there was definitely some pacing issues, and as I was watching it, I could tell that it had been mangled by the studio because there was just a lot of things that did not make sense, and I'm like, there's whole plot threads that kind of disappear, and I was like, I don't think this is sloppy filmmaking, I think it's, interference. Yeah, and it turns out I was right. Yeah. But honestly, there was just so much that I did enjoy about it. I enjoyed several of the performances. I loved the videotape of their debauched night. I love videotapes of people cavorting in the woods. And as somebody who has multiply in my life gone out in the woods and imbibed lots of different substances and not remembered the night before and been terrified, that whole first night in the woods sequence really does a number on me, because I'm like, man, I've been there. I didn't murder a bunch of people or cavort with witches, but I don't know, there was just something about it that really kind of felt so personal to me.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking at it and I know that it's garbage, but there's a lot of bangers on the soundtrack. I appreciate the shift from kind of found footage to a more slick studio style. And I think that there's a lot happening here that maybe is accidental. Like I said, I feel like there's a lot of meta kind of postmodern commentary and takes on the themes of the movie and of the first movie and the internet and fandom. I think there's a lot of early critique of fandom and toxic fandoms and stuff that is very relevant today. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think there's lots of stuff to chew on there. I just think that, as you said, it's just kind of flimsy and doesn't make sense. But I don't know. I feel like I didn't hate that I had to spend almost 2 hours of my life watching it. It was fine. Yeah. Like it's, as a studio mandated and heavily interfered sequel to a found footage surprise hit goes, it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, it's a solid okay. Ro, please round it out. I need to know. I want this to be a fucking sleigh so badly.
Well, it's not going to be a sleigh. I'm sorry to disappoint you there.
Damn.
But I'm going to agree with you on an okay. I had a pretty fun time watching this, and I'm already looking up, like, can I get it on DVD? Can I get it on Blu-ray?
So am I, and it's only on DVD.
Of course. It makes it even better.
Yeah.
Is it good? Not really whatsoever, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it's just the 2000s-ness, the soundtrack, just the whole vibe of it, how batshit crazy it is. This is one I could see, like, watching with friends and stuff, just being like, the Blair Witch
showing
Project.
It to your friends at work.
Yeah. How about Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2? Just great time. I had a fun enough time. I can give it an okay. I like some of the ideas it's pulling at. I don't think it lands any of those ideas, but it's an okay for the swing and the miss. Let's just say that.
Nice.
You got to respect the the ambition that they had.
Exactly. So yeah, 2 okays and a nay for Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. So we told you what we thought, and we asked you what you thought, and we did get a couple answers. So we'll go over to Facebook first, and we had YG James, Young James. He said, never seen it, nor do I plan to.
Damn.
So yeah, just a real rough one from James. I mean, I'm not gonna hate you for not watching it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of whatever. And then over on Instagram, we had Melanie St. George, right? And she said, I don't care what people say. I love this one.
Okay, I respect that.
Yeah, stand on business. I mean, This is one that I think if you watched it at the right age, that there is a bit of a fan base and following around this one, especially if you weren't a huge fan of the original and you were just looking for something different.
If your name's Jill, you definitely probably love this.
I feel like Jill would really like this.
Yeah, this is so
I don't know if she'll ever get around to it. But
yeah. And then Horror Hound Holly P wrote and said, I found it very removed from the first one. It's a nay from me. I hope the new one is awesome.
Yeah, we didn't really discuss that, but I think last episode I mentioned how some of the original creatives like Josh, Heather, and Mike were screwed over throughout the whole process of the different sequels and whatnot. It was just announced within the past couple of days that the Blair Witch remake, requel, whatever, the new film in the Blair Witch universe is going to be directed by the person who did Portrait of God, a really good short on YouTube, and that Josh and Mike are on board as executive producers at the very least.
Yeah.
Heather still not involved. I think there was a pretty crazy falling out there, obviously, with her changing her name and everything. But I mean, at least that's a couple of the people that made the original one so great, hopefully getting some cash coming their way and maybe getting some sort of creative control to try and make things right.
Yeah, hopefully. And before I forget, there was another one, the Mouth of Madness podcast, Jill's podcast. Someone wrote in from their account and just said, banger soundtrack.
Yep.
So I know all those guys over there. Yeah, I'm sure it's just Jill wrote. Someone was like, hey, can you type this in? And then we did have some comments and questions in. Had my guy from work, one of my buddies, Aaron. I loved his comment. His comment, nothing to do with Blair Witch 2. He just said, podcast needs some more shark movies. So he's calling out. He's a guy I can tell that appreciates Joggist for sure.
Yeah, you know, fingers crossed it'll come back this year. You know,
that's right. And then and then friend of the podcast Willow wrote in with a question. She said, "Have you guys seen Joe Berlinger's documentary, any documentaries like Paradise Lost or Metallica Some Kind of Monster? If so, what do you think? Berlinger is beloved in that field too. We kind of touched that already. I said I saw Paradise Lost, and I have seen the one he did for Netflix. I think I've seen the John Gacy one, and I think I also watched the Ted Bundy one that he did.
I didn't realize that I watched the Ted Bundy one, but I didn't know that was him, but I did see that Ted Bundy one.
So not the movie. He did a document. He basically put them out at like the exact same time with the movie.
I saw the movie, yeah.
Yeah, he put out a Ted Bundy documentary also. And just because of his status in documentary making, I thought they were pretty good. I mean, they're still very Netflix-y, but I think he had access to like tapes that had never been released or something.
Yeah, that was the conceit of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I remember thinking they're all right, but I love, like I said, Paradise Lost. I love that, and obviously it's very, very famous. So
yeah, for myself, I've seen his extremely wicked movie, which isn't one of his documentary ones, but I have seen the Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes. And that's really all I've seen by him. I will say in my research, seeing all of the hype and love for Paradise Lost, that might be something that I go back and actually check
I'd
out.
suggest it. Yeah, because I don't think he ever revisited it, because I do know, like, they made, like, I think one of the kids that got convicted went on later to make a documentary, like a continuation, but very interesting. But with that, we're going to jump on over to the horrific hotline where Horror Hound Nicholas is called in to leave his thoughts, I'm sure, on Colton's pick. So let's hear what he has to say.
So, yeah, well, this is a surprise. Didn't expect to be back on the Blair Witch train so very soon.
None of us did.
But yeah, I just finished watching Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 for the very first time. And it is definitely a somewhat different movie from the first one. Now, first of all, I think I have to retrospectively still bump up my Blair Witch Project grade, because I can't, even if I wanted to give Book of Shadows a complete nay. It is going to be an okay. So it is very trash movie, but it definitely had its entertainment value. To be honest, the very first minute when they have like those real life interviews about like from the marketing campaign of the very first movie, I thought this might actually be a very interesting premise, knowing that it could not really deliver. And it did not up to the very end, and the very end is a bit pretentious and ends in an interesting plot twist or plot development that, however, I think everyone can see coming by the midpoint of the movie, when all the visions are from the start, but all the daydreaming sequences start to become more frequent. Overall, it is somewhat entertaining, which I did not expect.
Hell yeah.
There are some weird choices. I'm not sure if I am a fan of the police interview sections that are spliced into the movie. I'm definitely a huge fan, and I mean that in the most ironic way possible, of the weird accent of the policeman. Or the police
Rowan called that out too.
The movie entertained me enough to give it an okay. It is a weird continuation of the Blair Witch Project, but I am very happy that is the way it is. As I don't know, the closest comparison I actually have for this would be the differences between Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2. As in, this is something completely different that takes very few elements and like some meta level of the first movie. So yeah, objectively probably a nay movie. Everyone says so. I'd say it's an okay movie.
That's right.
Still not gonna watch that one again. However, now, I mean, I'm not sure whose pick it is. I think it's Jill's pick, but I'm not quite sure. But this is the moment where you could finish your second horror franchise this year
my God.
of all time. So maybe in 2 weeks' time we have the final Blair Witch movie? ? If there's anything I can do as like a Patreon, let me know, because now I am actually on the Blair Witch train, and I would love to see like the Adam Wingard movie
Not
as
the
well.
extortion.
And since it also does not have very good reviews, I might just want to get it out of the way now, and maybe it's actually good. I don't know.
Well, you can direct all your hate mail towards Mike if that doesn't happen, Nicholas.
That's hilarious.
I love that he's like, objectively, this isn't a good movie. It's a nay, but I'm going to give it an okay.
But that's kind of where we all are.
Oh, I mean, it's entertaining for sure. It's just, I'm such a found footage boy. I can't go and say this is an okay. I mean...
Good, yeah.
I was going to say, I do have to shout out too. I won't read his whole email, but just the beginning of his email was just, can't believe this is happening, that we picked another Blair Witch project after that one.
I mean, neither could we. Like, we were all just sitting here, like, jaw on the floor when Colton picked that.
It just developed over the course of the episode, where I was like, you know what, screw it, it's time. You know, it's the right thing.
Love it.
But yeah, if you want to be like Nicholas and leave us a voicemail, you can send it to us at itslaispodcast@gmail.com, or just hit us up on any of our socials at itslaispodcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky, TikTok. If there's a social media, we're probably there at itslaispodcast. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds, Holly, Nicholas, Mark, Steven, Dan, Brian, Trevor, OG James, YG James, and Philip, gain access to the Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams, hosted by our long missing co-host Jill, and get episodes of the main show 48 hours early. Be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslaispodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Rowan, we spent a not insignificant amount of time discussing the music in this movie. Is Nickelback making the playlist now?
Yeah, I feel like screw Marilyn Manson, screw System of a Down, Nickelback will be Nickelback and POD. I think they're kind of like out of fat.
Wow.
Weren't they like a Christian rock band and just
I think
no
so.
one knew? Yeah. So we'll put that on for all the Jesus hard rockers out there, some POD or something. But we'll definitely put something on there, maybe a couple. You can find out if we do by going to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of our social media that Colton just mentioned, go into the bio, click the Linktree link, and there's a button that'll take you directly there. We upload scores and licensed music to iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. We update it regularly, so follow it and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? Last thing I gotta promote is there's a change from last episode. For TerraVision, they had an issue with some rights or something, so they've changed the movie. You're going to be hearing this on a Sunday. I think the Wednesday after this episode comes out is, you'll have a couple days to buy tickets. But so the new announcement, which I think might be just as good, they are doing Friday the 13th, Part 3, and it is the 4K restoration, and it will be in real D 3D, so you're gonna get your glasses on. We're gonna have a time. Doors
That's
open
fun.
Super fun. Doors open at 6. Pre-show film starts at 7. Get your tickets. I'll be there. We'll have lots of prizes. I'll have lots of, I'm sure, Friday the 13th theme things to give away. So go check it out. Get your tickets and all that. All that is left is to pick our next film. And to pick, Nicholas was a little wrong. It wasn't Jill. It's Mike. And Mike is unpredictable. So I what he's going to pick, no one knows. Mike, what are you making us watch next week?
Okay, listen, there's nothing I'd love more than to please Nicholas, and I'm sure everybody, by saying, let's fucking round out this Blair Witch train. But I already have plans in place, man.
I like it.
I am not, like, my train has already left the station and I can't derail it.
I like a swerve here. I like the swerve.
So, next episode, we're going to be talking about, from, again, I mentioned earlier this episode, one of the greatest years and eras of horror movies. 1981, Tobe Hooper's the Funhouse. And we may or may not be having a special guest on with us.
All right. So the Funhouse, get your eyeballs on that one, and we will be back in 2 weeks. As always, thank you for all the support. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Mike.
And I'm Colton. In 1981, Roar also came out. So, I mean, not a horror, but what a film. What a film.
See you later.